so far. So there seems to be a lot of fear here and there. We heard more reports coming out of, cases found within the Kenya Police Service, and talks of more barracks than closed. We from the reports that were given on Sunday, it was that countrywide barracks had been closed.
Police or military?
No, this is both now, right? So the police, as of Sunday, it was just the military, and there were talks that barracks would be closed. Now, yesterday, reports are giving that it is a sure thing that they would be closed now, with 20 cases now going towards the police service, with 20 cases having been found within the police service. There are also talks of more measures now being taken.
So it means people can't get arrested.
Look at you.
What I mean, within the police service, what? Police stations?
Well, that's where they congregate.
Yeah. So across, especially in the city of Nairobi, they found that 20 cases. They have found 20 cases.
So you see, my
in one police station?
Mm-hmm. No.
My assertion is not as far-fetched as it sounds.
Yeah, but this is a breakaway to law and order.
Yes.
Because who enforces the law when you have police in quarantine?
It also means that those who are already in those cells should be released, because putting people
They're in danger.
cells puts them in danger of infection.
They're in danger.
They are.
Okay.
So from the Kenya Prison Service to the Kenya Police Service, 19 cases have been found between Sunday and yesterday. And it poses a fresh challenge to healthcare teams fighting the virus. Kenya Prisons had reported the first COVID case on the 9th of May, and largely put the virus under control within its facilities though a new case was reported at Mbale Prison over the weekend. So now Mbale Prison, basically all the inmates, everybody were tested, and they're waiting for the results, and then they'll be able to know what to do thereafter. But what they're saying is that it's posing a threat to the fight, and the Ministry of Health is now wondering what to do if amongst the forces there's this problem. If amongst the police force and the prison system there's this problem, they're now faced with a fresh challenge as per what to do.
I honestly don't see a big challenge.
They're the ones who are saying it's a challenge for them now. How you say it's not a challenge? The ones who are dealing with it are saying it's a challenge.
Yeah, but I don't see where the challenge is. That's what I'm saying. It's not that you expect the police officers who are living within the community. Remember now, police officers are no longer just only living within the precincts of the police. They also live within the community. They are here with us. They're interacting with the people every day. What do you expect? Of course, if you have in community transmission, police officers are also likely to get just the same way you have.
Because they're part of that community.
Because they're part of that community. And if they get, then you just need to know, okay, so this such and such an officer has gotten, how do you treat them? Do you take them into isolation? Do you put them into quarantine? Just like the way they're dealing with the medical professionals.
And even if, let us say, for instance, we leave aside the detail of their living among the community, remember, in the course of their day-to-day work, they will come in contact with
their job entails interacting with the community.
Yes.
That is what the job.
You actually
that's
can't
the job
escape
description.
that.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's like the way we say medical professionals are frontline at risk.
Yes, they are.
It was medical professionals. It was security. It was from the very beginning. This was clear.
Why do you think the matter of teachers has suddenly been at the center of the discussion? Because teachers are also and will be in contact with students, and you talk about close-range contact.
Yeah. So them coming to say now they are facing a challenge. I'm like, I don't see why you're facing a challenge. This was expected. It's not anything new. It's not like saying, we have the same way immediately COVID was announced in this country, you said no visits to prisons. Why? Because you knew that this is a high-risk area. When you get one case in the prisons, you deal with it immediately. You don't say that now we are facing a challenge. What challenge?
Remember,
it's not a substantial population of the prison population.
Prison by its very nature, just like police cells, people congregate in large numbers and they are in proximity to each other.
Yep. Let's see how they deal with it as they move. So the number of tests keep fluctuating. Yesterday we were up at 4,171 samples tested. The previous day was about 2,000. So 2,000 today, 4,000 tomorrow.
Take what you get. It looks like at this rate.
155 positive cases yesterday, 59 positive cases before yesterday. Okay. Anyway, we are fighting COVID.
On some level, sure. Looking at the rest of the world, 9,354,326. That's what we're looking at now, with 479,816 deaths worldwide. We've got to keep our eye on Mexico because the numbers are increasing. Yesterday, we were looking at 5,000 in the last 7 hours. So by the time 24 hours were done, they had reached well over 7,000 cases. And we're likely to see the same thing today, with about 10% of those still resulting in death. So Mexico very near 200,000 cases so far, and the death rate is not encouraging at all. Brazil with 1,151,479 cases, still well in that position, about half the cases that the United States has. The United States still quite high. They talk about the fact that they're worried about this, but then you have the president going for the rallies that he's been going for in Oklahoma and such, and talking about the fact that he's come to talk about the future of the country, and basically COVID be damned, he's not really worried about that. And looking at then the state of Oklahoma as one of the states where the highest cases of COVID has been recorded in the last 2 days. So then you really wonder what's going on.
It's political season.
For sure.
Listen, neither is Joe Biden or the Democrats saying, no, we are suspending all our rallies.
No.
We're not going to campaign because of COVID. No way.
Everybody's out there.
Yes.
Everybody's out there.
It is political season.
So
Just look at
And
pictures.
especially the Democrats don't want to the issue of let's postpone this election.
it's
No,
not being
no.
postponed.
This
The
is
election will take place in
postponed.
November.
This is the best time.
The election will take place in November, that's for sure.
Why don't you have a look at pictures right now in our papers where politicians are congregating with their parties? The thing that went out of the window a long time ago, this thing called social distancing, went out of the window a long time ago.
It's for the rest of the society.
Yes, they are bunching together as they usually did.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to be concerned.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. So American numbers still high up there. The UK, very many developments. UK yesterday, the Prime Minister said, in fact, this is the last time that 10 Downing Street will be issuing daily briefings on COVID-19. From now, we'll be releasing briefs if and when there is need. So basically, we're getting to a point where, and even announced that they're opening bars and pubs. Life is almost getting back to normal in the UK.
They are not the first to take that step. Let us see if it will continue moving forward or they will retreat.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've been going about it, gradually as well. Just reopening here, opening this and the other. The final stages now is still just saying at some point now we're going to reopen the full economy back in line. They have not recorded new deaths for a couple of weeks.
Means they've got a handle on it.
Yeah,
Or is it that they're not reporting?
maybe. We never know with these things.
But if they are opening up this socialization, then it's a good thing. The only thing is, I am yet to see a country that has opened up and has not engaged reverse gear.
At least for a bit. At least for a bit you'll see some change, some measures being taken and then being reversed.
But also, you see, it's a sign of something that is, I think, not uncommon with a situation such as this one. Much as we keep getting to understand more and more about COVID, there's still a great deal more that we don't understand. And this process of opening up enables you now to understand those things which you had not fully understood.
Oh, that's for sure. Look at New
emerge.
Zealand, for example. They did everything that they thought they should have done. They were sure that they could basically announce to the world that this would be the case. Who would have thought that they would need to then take a step back and say, okay, well, there's certain things that we didn't do and we didn't know it would be this way. Once you thought you were completely free and then you realize, okay, wait a minute, there's a box back here that we actually didn't check. In the future, if they would announce themselves COVID-free, you can be sure then that this particular box which went unchecked, they would look at it in the future. Again, pointing to the fact that there's so many things that you don't know. So making pronouncements at some point, you don't do that on total, assurance that you really can, because you don't know. Who would have known that officials wouldn't have tested these last pair of women who were in this facility? They had been tested before, they were fine. Who would have thought that, all right, we needed to have tested because or we needed to have checked everything, they were let go on compassionate basis. Who would have thought that they needed to have tested
They should
them?
have been tested on compassionate basis also.
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, it's still pointing to the fact that so much is unknown. Let's look at South Africa. 106,108 cases so far. Their testing in terms of how rapid it has been has not subsided. And just 2,102 deaths in South Africa. They're now number 18 in the world. And the first African country to have reached this. But again, pointing to the fact that vigorous testing is taking place here, having edged out Canada just recently. So...
Edged out in
edged out in terms of they passed them. 106.
number of cases or number of deaths.
Number of cases. But there are more deaths in Canada than South Africa. There's 4 times the number of deaths in Canada than South Africa. However, South Africa has 5,000 more cases than Canada does.
We're taking positions here. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like a race now.
I've beaten you.
Because I have only-
I'm ahead of
However,
you
I have
now.
less casualties.
Yes, more people in my place are dying than your place.
Or more people in your place are dying than my place, and we have more people with the disease.
But
We're
actually,
doing
what
better
do you
than
mean?
you.
But we have more people infected.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've done more tests.
Yes. Oh, boy.
Hey, COVID-19. We'll keep seeing how COVID-19 unfolds in the world. Everybody is resetting back to Tanzania status. Let's live the life.
Yeah,
Until you look at the world statistics, and it gives statistics for the United Kingdom, and it's NA, not applicable, because as soon as they made that announcement yesterday, everybody says, okay, the UK is not telling us anything anymore. Shut it down.
That's it.
This is going to be the number that you see for the next 3 weeks.
NA. Okay, so would like you to read the Standard newspaper with us this morning as we review the headlines of the papers shortly. For 1,000 shillings worth of Safaricom airtime, I'll be asking you a question so you can call in and win that. But then, for you to read the Standard newspaper, do you have 20 shillings of airtime on your mobile phone, Safaricom mobile phone? Okay, if you do, just dial star 550 star 2 hash. That's star 550 star 2 hash. It'll tell you you'll receive an SMS shortly. Once you receive that SMS, it'll have a link. The link will open and ask you, would you like to read just today's Standard, or would you like to subscribe for a week or for a month? For today, it's just 20 bob airtime. It'll be, you'll be able to access the Standard. You don't need to think of downloading an app, loading an app. I don't know, data charges. I don't know, signing up a sign-up fee. Nothing. Anyway, for that 1,000 shillings, there's a gentleman called Waiganjo. Remember the policeman called Waiganjo?
No. Was he actually a policeman?
So, we don't know. Waiganjo was taken to court, and there was an issue of charges of impersonation, and also it was charges of impersonation against Waiganjo and abuse of office against the former Rift Valley Provincial Police boss, John Mtombijiwe, and former anti-stock theft unit boss, Remy Ngugi. These cases were in court, and in May this year, the court said nothing was proven. So, case dismissed. No case against Waiganjo, no case against Mbijiwe, no case against Remy Ngugi. Mbijiwe, in fact, wants to is already being reinstated to the police service. Okay? Now, Waiganjo has written to the police and is saying, I demand an apology. I demand an apology. He's written to the former chairman of the National Police Service Commission, Johnson Kavuludi, former police commissioner, Matthew Itere, former director of criminal investigations, Martin Bayer, and he wants an apology. He wants these people to write an apology within the next 7 days, publish them on a newspaper with higher national circulation. This means the Standard, or issue a press release and circulate it widely.
Apology for?
See, for taking him through all these things.
Were they lies?
Claiming that it was not proven. The thing is, there is no case.
So
You did not prove that I was impersonating a police officer.
So what does he want an apology for? Defamation of character?
all
this-
those things.
I think he wants everything.
all those things.
Okay.
But let me ask a simple question, really. Is he a police officer?
You see, that's not the point.
Actually, I'm making it the point. Because if he's a police officer, then
for sure they should
for
apologize
sure
to
they
you.
should apologize fully.
But if he's not,
You
Then-
see, the other thing is, has he ever acted as a police officer?
Part of the reason why this was a problem was because he did.
No, it was not proven. This is what the court has said. you have not been able to prove that this man, who is a civilian, has acted as a police officer. So this is the issue.
So
The issue of that, whether he's a police officer or not is immaterial, because he has never said or acted as if he's a police officer, and you have not been able to prove
it. It is simpler than I think we're making it, because the issue here is that it wasn't proven.
Yeah.
Now, when it isn't proven, by the way, it's a double-edged sword. It doesn't mean it's also not true.
Yeah. But the fact that you took me to court and said that I'm impersonated, and then you were not able to prove, and that case was dismissed, I demand an apology. Why were you accusing me of impersonating and then you're not able to prove? It basically means that you do not have any evidence.
Why doesn't he even seek for damages? Because now,
at this rate,
yes, once he's begun on that route,
everything else.
The damages would be appropriate.
He wants that apology, then we move to the next step. Step by step.
And you actually think he's going to get that apology?
If he doesn't, he's going to sue them.
I think he should sue.
He should just get on with it now.
So the question is, on what page is that story on the Standard today? On what page is that story on the Standard today? It's before page 10, somewhere between page 0 and page 10, page 1 and page 10. Okay, you'll find that story. What page is it? And give us the headline to this story. This is a story about Waiguru, the gentleman called Joshua Waiguru. Okay, 21 minutes after 6 o'clock. It's a situation amidst Kenya's biggest conversation. The number to call is 0719-012-600, and you stand a chance of winning 1,000 shillings worth of Safaricom airtime. Good morning.
.24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
Yeah! You're listening to Spice FM.
All right, let's see what this Wednesday morning has in store for our weather in Nairobi, in Kenya, and around the world. It's mostly cloudy in Nairobi this morning at 15. We will see highs of 23 and lows of 13, with possible showers in the afternoon. Nyeri promises to be a wet day, where light showers have already begun at 15 degrees. We'll see highs of 22 today. And Nakuru at 13 degrees, clear skies, with the rain coming in the afternoon with highs of 23. Eldoret is clear this morning at 12. We'll see highs of 21 and lows of 11. Kisumu at 19 degrees is clear skies this morning. That'll change in the afternoon into rainy conditions with highs of 28 and lows of 18. Kakamega will follow suit with rains in the afternoon. Clear skies now at 16 degrees with highs of 25. Take a look then into Malindi, where it's cloudy conditions currently at 26 degrees. Thunderstorms forecasted for the afternoon with highs of 27 and lows of 24. Taking a look then into Mombasa, where it's cloudy conditions right now at 25. It's likely to rain very soon with highs of 27 and lows of 23. All right, a peek into the regional towns and cities. Kampala at 19 degrees is partly cloudy. Thunderstorms predicted for the afternoon with highs of 26 and lows of 18. Dar es Salaam is mostly cloudy at 23 degrees, highs of 30 and lows of 23, with showers expected for the later part of the day, well into Thursday. Johannesburg at 6 degrees, clear skies and sunny conditions all through today, highs of 18 and lows of 2. Lagos at 25 degrees is clear skies and cloudy conditions later with highs of 30 and lows of 24. Let's take a look into Europe, where Paris is clear skies at 19 degrees, highs of 33. It's going to be a warm day and lows of 18. London at 18 degrees, clear skies as well. And it's officially summer in this part of the world. 31 degrees the high and lows of 18. And finally in New York, where it'll beckon Thursday, or rather Wednesday morning, as soon as the sun comes up, it'll be clear skies all through most parts of the morning, and then into thunderstorms for the afternoon with highs of 29 and lows of 23.
The Situation Room is Kenya's biggest conversation, 26 minutes after 6. Good morning, and how are you doing? Thank you very much for tuning in to Spice FM this morning. We are giving away 1,000 shillings worth of Safaricom airtime this morning just by you dialing star 550 star 2 hash. That's star 550 star 2 hash. 20 shillings worth of airtime. You get to read the Standard newspaper on your mobile device. And what we are asking is, on what story is this, and on what page is this story about Joshua Waiganjo, the man who had been accused of impersonating a police officer and whose case was dismissed by the courts in May, and who has now written to the former 3 police bosses demanding an apology or they face legal action. Huh?
Can I say the page?
Yeah? No. You can't. 0719 012 600. Call. And okay, there are many people who are calling. Joseph in Lower Kabete, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Are you reading the Standard on your mobile device?
Yes.
All right. On what page is this Joshua Iganjo story?
Page 8.
Page 8.
Yes.
What is the headline?
Waiganjo demands apology from ex-police boss.
Waiganjo demands apology from ex-police boss.
Yes.
Let's ask Mwalimu to tell us whether you're actually correct or not. Mwalimu, is he right?
Yes,
Huh? He got it.
it's yes, page 8 on the Standard.
It's page 8, huh?
Yes.
It's actually correct. Okay. Joseph, congratulations.
Okay, thanks.
You get 1,000 shillings worth of free airtime from Safaricom.
Okay.
You'll speak to our producer, John, who will take your details.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Tune in tomorrow. Andrew, I can see Andrew is also calling. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You wanted to try this question?
Yes, I'm already. I've been reading from since morning page 1 to page. I'm on page 8. The story
Okay.
about Waiganjo.
Joseph just beat you to it.
Okay.
Ole. So just do
And
the
then
same tomorrow.
there's,
You may win. Yes. Which other interesting story do you see?
I've seen the way on page 7. There is the equity public notice. And then hapo kuna picha ya nini?
Mzee Jomo.
Mzee Jomo.
Yes, it's a full feature on that. So Andrew, just call tomorrow and see if we're gonna be able to beat everybody else to win this. Thank you very much for calling. Have a good one. But before you go, let's hear today's proverb from C.T. Muga.
He who is unable to dance says the yard is stony.
Andrew, you get that?
I'm trying to decipher the behind it.
What that means? He who is
Yes,
unable to dance
says the yard is stony.
Oh no, I get the just wearing a short how do I say, the wrong shoe, saying it is the manufacturer who made it wrongly.
Equal to that, yes. Similar to that.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Have a good day. Keep listening to Spice FM.
You too, sir.
Right. Where is this proverb from?
Maasai.
It's a Maasai.
It's a Maasai saying. Now, you see, Maasai, we tend to think of the Maasai in Kenya. There's a very large population of Maasai in Tanzania as well.
Yep. So not just Kenyan Maasai.
It's Maasai in general. Yes, and if you are going to talk about the broader Ma community, you are going to have to throw in what the people will refer to as the Samburu.
Yep. Yep. And others, the El Chamus and the others who are smaller Ma-speaking community. Well, it's a situation room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. We take a look at one headline and then we look at traffic. Just one. Which one?
Well,
interesting ones. Very many interesting ones. So just one that is not so interesting.
now what do you want? One that's not so interesting? Oh, okay. Dead bishop, 2 women and fight for his millions. An epic battle. Oh, you said not so interesting. Well, sorry.
No, please.
You don't like this one?
This one is very interesting. We saw it the other day, so I guess today the Standard is giving it now proper coverage on who this person is, what the case is, why is there a family tussle on this issue. Actually, the headline is Sex, Money and 2 Women's Bitter Fight for a Dead Bishop. Hey, this one's going to be interesting. Let's just look at this one. Kalonzo turns on former party financier, Mudhama. Okay, page 5. Mudhama is to face censure as Wiper reigns in critics. The former senator is accused of failing to abide by party provisions and associating with rival political leaders. So he could face expulsion from Wiper if he fails to show cause why disciplinary action should not be taken against him for allegedly violating the party constitution. This once staunch ally of Kalonzo Musyoka, now turned harsh critic, is accused of associating with other parties and making statements that do not reflect Wiper's position. The party's chairman, Chirawali Mwakwere, Zipapa, is accusing Mudhama of failing to abide by the different provisions that had been set by the party. So you think that Jubilee is the only one that can whip? Even Wiper is trying to show it can do something.
You forget that ANC had their little twists and turns not very long ago.
And Ford Kenya, actually.
Now, Ford Kenya are going at it hammer and tongue.
They are.
Yes, and they just. So
it's the season for political parties
it's the season.
It's whipping season.
It is.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what it is.
Kiboko.
It's Kiboko time. Martha Karua's party is basically just bringing everybody together.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Our focus is bigger.
Which party is that one?
NARC Kenya.
Not Kenya.
Okay. It's good.
NARC Kenya is on a recruitment drive. It's revitalizing itself.
Going deep.
You fight.
Sowing seeds. She told us here when she came. That's what they're doing at the moment.
Mandeleo Chap is also doing the same. The party leader is communicating in all languages of Kenya and sending out messages. He's speaking every language.
Speaking the language of inclusivity.
Yep. And he's saying, getting coalitions and all.
It's very admirable that someone understands, knows, and can speak that array of languages. It's a good thing.
It's good.
Doesn't guarantee you votes.
Unfortunately, this Kenya.
No.
Anyway,
Kenya.
Mudhama may end up in Mandeleo Chap if he's kicked out of Wiper or ODM or NARC Kenya or NARC
or
Jubilee
Politicians are spoiled for choices.
or Ford Kenya.
It's like a buffet.
And there are other parties we don't know about that are just quietly waiting for fallout so that people can, pay money to join them or own the party.
Right.
So,
it's that season. 26 minutes to 7.
what is the name of that party that...
Tip
Abdu Badida.
you
Tip
got
Tip.
it.
Is it not Tip Tip? Yeah.
Okay.
Was
Tip Tip.
for Uncle
Kalembendile.
Kalembendile.
It still exists, doesn't it?
Yes, no.
Tip Tip is a man who is the rent.
One of them.
But the didn't sort of like...
They didn't fizzle out.
They are dormant.
Not permanent. Reversible. Whereas Jogoo Road yesterday morning was an absolute mess, it looks quite smooth this morning, all the way from Hamza, getting towards the City Stadium roundabout. Of course, there is some traffic, but not as crazy as we would expect it to be at this hour. Getting into the CBD won't be too much of a headache, and we see this traffic is flowing quite smoothly, getting in that general direction. All right, Thika Road seems to be building up all the way from the Safari Park Hotel. Traffic has already begun right around 6:35. We'll see what it looks like in a short while, but it shouldn't be too much of a headache. We'll see the normal stop areas on Mombasa Road, right around Cabanas, and then till General Motors. But you should be fine after that. It wasn't too much of a menace yesterday. Hopefully we'll continue the same trend today. If anything jumps out at you, don't hesitate to let us know. Spice of MKE on Twitter. Let's know what you see. Wednesday morning has started off quite well. Let's keep it that way, shall we?
Traffic.
Hello. What does it do? Are you unable to dance?
Sorry?
Are you blaming the ground?
Or is the ground genuinely stony?
No, I can dance. So.
Okay. So, headlines. Interesting ones. City, what is that story about the dead bishop, 2 women, and the fight for his millions?
You know, this isn't well, in terms of exciting, it isn't actually exciting. It's actually tragic.
True.
Because here you have a situation of a man who married 2 women. He had the title of a bishop. He owned a church. Clearly it was a business, a good one. He had a lot of money, owned a lot of property. And then, should we say, because he's a bishop, he went to be with the Lord. See, that's more appropriate.
Yes.
See, you know, the bishops don't just die. Okay? Okay. All right, Ndu, if that doesn't make you happy, then he went to the happy hunting ground. Nonetheless, he left this planet in the form that he had been living in it and went to a different sphere of existence. Now, clearly, there is an issue. He had a will, though. He had a will. But that will notwithstanding, because what the papers reported was that he had some cars, left them to the first wife and the son of the first wife. Then now the drama sets in. Everybody wants a share of whatever else he owned. What I have found interesting about this is none of this seems to be owned by the church. Because I assume it has congregants. I assume there was a structure of...
Maybe it's not the church that owned the properties. It's him who owned... You see, it doesn't mean that because I'm a bishop, I'm owned by the church.
Just because you are a bishop, it doesn't mean that everything you own is yours. It is very likely that the church and the proceeds from the church is what enabled you to be rich.
Yep.
Okay, yes, but it enabled me to be able to
yes,
acquire.
But if it enabled you, no, it isn't a salary. A salary doesn't... People don't grow rich on salaries, Chief.
What do you mean?
No, salary.
Yeah.
Salary.
Yes.
monthly.
Salary allows you to start a small business. That small business grows.
Eric, salary,
like that.
salary is something that enables you to live. There are rare cases where people earn such huge amounts, you wonder. But there are so few that statistically they are almost irrelevant because they're really few. The bulk of the people, it enables you to live comfortably. Oh, sorry.
It's
By
okay.
Kenyan standards, yes, you become rich. Sorry, I had forgotten. By Kenyan standards, you can become rich. But to own all that this man owned, I would then have to ask, what business was he
it's
involved
like
in?
it's like you're
that
saying
made
that
you-
that it's okay for a charcoal seller to own stuff, but it's not okay for a preacher to own.
No, it is not okay if I don't understand. If he had money before he got into this ministry,
Maybe he did.
I have no issue.
Maybe
but
he did.
If we go by the examples we've seen of people who lead churches and grow rich, they grow rich from the proceeds of the church.
It's from
And
the
the-
offerings.
And
let's
the
talk
proceeds
about
of the
let's
church.
talk about his wealth. Okay, this is Archbishop Musa Magodo, and his church was called the Magodo International Ministries. He was the founder. He died in September last year. At the time of his death, Magodo had, according to a will seen by the Standard, accumulated about 57 properties in Nairobi and surrounding counties. The document lists show the property is to be divided among his family members and what goes to the company that he started, Christian Broadcasting Network. So he had a company called Christian Broadcasting Network. Okay? That is separate. This is a business. Church, Magodo International Ministries, Kando. Don't mix them. Some of the property is in prime areas across the county, or the country actually, including Karen, Gigiri, Ongata-Rongai, Ngong, Athi River, Kitengela, and Limuru. Now here comes the drama. These two families that he has, the two wives, are battling over who gets what and who gets to bury the other. So far they have raised, not the other, their husband. So far they've raised issues of illicit sex, bigamy, polyandry, misappropriation of church funds, and claims of children born out of wedlock. Hey. Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make here, Eric, is this. When you had a religious organization called a church, the norms by which you are judged are different. If you enter the church when you're already a wealthy person and you have an independent business, I think I would stop even discussing the matter. If you start a ministry and you have a church, the money you acquire is given to you by congregants. Now, if there's no clear record, I am just simply going to assume that everything that he acquired was as a result of being bishop and as a result of the proceeds that he got from the church. And if that is the case, then I have to ask, what does the church own?
I think you raise valid points, and this is a conversation that's always being had. Okay, I'm just saying that sometimes we look at it and we immediately jump into that conclusion that this person's wealth is as a result of directly taking and conning the congregation, because the congregants are actually contributing to this money, thinking that they're building the church, they're building their communion, and yet this person is taking that money and using it to their own self-benefit. Not always the case.
You see, I want to look at two cases.
They can actually now look at that and say, all right, so there's this that's running the church, and there's what I, as bishop, I have sat down with the church leadership, and we have agreed that, bishop, this is what you'll be getting as either salary, stipend, reward, whatever you want to call it, from the church. Okay? And from that, I have now gone ahead and set up a business. And for that business, I have used that business to grow my wealth. It's possible.
Eric, look at three prominent church organizations in this country. The Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa.
Yep.
Okay? They own, remember, church,
The church
they
owns
own
a
a
lot of
lot
property.
of
A lot
property.
of property.
They've had bishops who've come in, they've had the equivalent of bishops, whatever they call them, come in and go. But as they expand, it's not the individuals who grow abnormally rich. It is the church
It is
that
the
keeps
church.
growing.
In terms of assets.
Yes, you hear of their guest house, you hear of their
Of their
schools,
school.
you hear of the university. The church grows.
You don't hear of the individual.
Of course, you don't hear of the individual.
No.
Because of the structure of that church. The structure of the church is, first of
Actually-
all, that this person shall not engage in business. This person shall also be celibate. There are all those things that
That's Catholic,
the, church,
yeah?
the Catholic Church has
Catholic,
decided.
you actually
And we
disavow
shall
wealth.
take-
You sort of like put a
Yeah.
moratorium on it completely.
And the Catholic Church has said that you, as long as you're working in this church as a priest, we are going to take care of you, your daily needs and requirements. So you're getting a stipend. That's different. Other churches pay salaries. Other churches decide that we're going to give a dividend of how much we're able to raise as a congregation. At the end of the year, we look at how much is in the account and we say, Bishop, fungu la 10, wewe sabu tukupatie kidogo.
It's perfectly understandable, but you see, even as you're saying it, the church decides. You see?
Yeah.
Which means the church has.
Yep.
Here's an individual who started the church. It is he who has.
Yep.
He
That's
started
where-
it with 2 or
This
3
is-
congregants.
This is
and
where
then
the anomaly
number
comes
grew,
in. It is he who has,
not
Yeah,
the church.
but then he brings in leadership.
not the church. Not
There's-
the church.
The church is there, the ministries.
It would be interesting to see if this ministry is continuing as we speak.
Yeah.
That's now an indication of then what CT is saying.
I
Because
think
if you're
the issue
looking
would
at
be
if
if-
you're
if
looking
we
at
were to go-
longevity,
if we were to go
this
into
is
the
a problem
church
with an
itself, if we were to
individual.
go into this particular case and we found that there's absolutely nothing that anything called Magodo International Ministries owns as Magodo International Ministries that is separate from this company of his called Christian Broadcasting Network, then now we'd be able to advance this conversation. What I'm saying is we don't know, and we should not be quick to jump into the conclusion of this man had all this property. This is
Forgive
the church
me.
property.
This one, I'm going to be quick to jump to that conclusion. And for the simple reason,
Because of why?
because this, and I'm going to explain the because here. You see, the individuals who've been writing these articles are journalists, all right? Now, these journalists don't just ask about the fight. It's a church. They'll ask, but okay, this church, the structure, there must be an assistant bishop. There must be the equivalent of a church senate, okay? So,
But you see, the issue here is not the church. You keep forgetting that, CT.
No.
The issue is not about
the moment
it's
you
not a
can't-
tussle about the church.
Eric,
In this
you
case,
can't
you
be
can't,
bishop.
you can't separate the
The
two.
two.
In
You
this
can't.
case,
In this particular
Because-
case of the burial, it's about the man and his wives. The dispute is the 2 wives who are disputing. It is not the church congregation that is disputing. If we go to a point where the case was actually about the church congregation saying, you know what, we are demanding that these 2 women do not touch or come and interfere with the church. Now that we can now start interrogating what is the structure of the church. That's why this does not emerge as a story.
Early days yet. That may yet come to the fore.
Maybe if the church now starts
You see-
getting itself involved. As far as we can see, the 2 wives are the ones that are complaining.
Eric,
First
the
wife, in
reality-
fact, is going out to say that the second wife was hired here as a house help. She came as a house help. Kidogo kidogo, my husband deserts his matrimonial bed and he goes to live in the guest house. Kidogo kidogo, I see the maid is in the guest house. She's become second wife. This is what they're battling over. Church congregation, assistant bishop, pastor so-and-so, mzee of the church so-and-so, they have not come to the fore on
You
this
know,
case. And they must
this
be there.
church clearly was this person's property. And churches, then he had a business that he referred to as a church.
clearly these 2 women are not fighting over they want to be called Mrs. Magodo. They're fighting over property.
They are fighting over property
Yes.
that Magodo personally owned. Personally owned.
Not that-
And they're not even fighting about who's going to be the senior bishop now. They're not concerned about the running of the church. And the church is not even involving itself in, no, we don't like the younger one. We like the older one. We want her to be the bishop. It has not gotten to that point. It is about what this person owned. Umeshika hiyo?
Eric, I am waiting for this story to evolve.
It's
It will
like
unfold.
today-
It will unfold.
It's
it will
like
continue.
in the event that Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit passed on and his family, because this is a man who's married, he has family. His family started disputing over his own property. We can't say this is Anglican Church's property. Jackson Ole Sapit has property.
Eric, the Anglican Church doesn't have, it has one archbishop. It has very many other bishops. Okay?
Yes.
If you die, you're just replaced.
Yes, but this is
So-
about Archbishop Ole Sapit's
No.
farm somewhere in Narok County.
I understand, but the
And
gentleman-
any other property that he owns. If he owns a home somewhere in Kitengela, that is Ole Sapit's
very
property.
true. Yes,
Not
But
Anglican Church.
Musa Magodo was Magodo International. Magodo International was Musa Magodo. Yes.
Okay. But the properties that we're talking about are not necessarily Magodo International. They are Musa Magodo.
Yes.
And there's a separation.
Oh,
there.
no, there's no separation here. He is everything.
He was the church and the church was him.
Okay.
He's everything, clearly.
It's 10 minutes to 7. Good morning. Okay, so moving away from the story of Bishop, the late Archbishop Magodo, and his two wives.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Jacob Olo, a promising lawyer and member of the Young Lawyers.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
He was the individual's claiming to the officers of the Witness Protection Agency. The men said Mr. Olo was a witness.
Mornings done right.
$1 billion arms deal, but refused to show officers any evidence of their employment or claims. In his report filed under OB number 26/2020, Mr. Olo said his life had been threatened by one Joseph Maingi. He did not specify the nature of the threat and why Mr. Maingi was after his life, but he left his vehicle, a black Mitsubishi Outlander, at the station, saying he was afraid of using it as his assailants may trail and murder him. So, there's another problem here. Death threats over fake arms deal gone sour. Yet another
story here
Hey.
that's emerging.
Yeah.
Hey.
As
And this
if-
one is not the one about the Harambee House Annex.
No.
This has no relation to the Harambee House Annex deal. This is not companies in Europe.
No.
This is a company somewhere in Africa.
Somewhere in Africa.
And this is not the DOD. This is the police service.
It is similar to the one that involved the former cabinet secretary Rashid Achesa a few months ago. But this one happened. This happened after one of the participants, a city lawyer, attempted to con his fellow fraudsters of an initial 7.5 million shillings paid as commitment fees. The victim in this new deal, a company based in Bamako, Mali, had been made to believe that it was on the brink of landing a mouth-watering deal to supply rifles and pistols to the Kenya National Police Service through the Interior Ministry. On order was 15,000 pistols and 45,000 rifles, according to documents alleged to have been generated from the Ministry of Interior in the possession of the nation, apparently, which have turned out to be fake. And as if that is not shocking enough, some of the players in the new fake arms deal are, according to investigators, involved in the 40 billion shilling scam that is currently in court. So they've got their hand here. There's two cookie jars. And
The same characters.
same
Some of the
characters are playing into
that were doing the bigger arms
mud
deal.
pots.
40 billion. They
So
were
the bigger
also
one
at the
gave
same
birth to
time
this one.
rolling out another one. And they have gone to a company in Bamako, Mali, and they've told this company in Bamako, Mali, you know what? I am a commissioner of police, so and so.
For Kenya?
I'm the Kenya Commissioner of Police, and we want to procure some guns and rifles, some
Actually,
pistols and rifles.
they're actually very specific. 15,000 pistols and
45,000 rifles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clear. And we want these things supplied. And those guys, they write to the Interior Ministry saying, all right, so we're going to be able to supply this within this period
And
of time.
everything would have gone according to plan. And the victims would have lost more money until one of the fraudsters decided to con his colleagues,
One of the fraudsters decided to defraud.
his people, leaving them baying for his blood. He has gone now and made the complaint that his life is in danger. And that is how all of this
So this
unraveled.
unravels. It unravels because one gentleman goes to a police station at night and says, you know what? And he's accompanied by people who are saying, we are from the Witness Protection Agency. And then they ask, you know to a witness protection? You know now what happens in the police stations. Hey, maybe you're going at night and you're saying, we are from Witness Protection and this gentleman needs to record a statement because his life is in danger. So they record a statement in the OB and he says, in fact, I'm going to leave my Mitsubishi Outlander here because
so if I use
these
it,
guys,
they're going to follow me.
They know this car. If I use this vehicle, they're going to trail me. So I'm going to leave it here in the safe custody of police. Then I go home. OB taken. Koplo. Afande huyu anasema akona life in danger, wacha tuandike. Wanaandika. They leave, they go. A couple of days later, someone who claims that he's a military officer comes to this same police station and says, I've been sent by Mr. So-and-so. Mr. Who again? The name of the lawyer who went there?
Olo, Mr. Olo.
Yeah, Mr. Olo has sent me to come and collect his vehicle. And you are? I'm a military officer.
From Moyo base.
So how do I know that Olo has sent you? Olo ameniambia bwana nikuje nichukue hiki. Unajua his life was in danger and all those things. I know his story. The DCI thinks there's something
here
fishy.
is not right.
Calls Olo and asks Olo, what's up with this case? Finds out, kumbe there are now many things here that are happening. This is how the story unravels. It so happens that the DCI starts investigating. They realize that this Olo gentleman had represented some of the guys in court who are in the other bigger 40 billion shillings case. Digging deeper, they find out, there was actually now another thing in process. Malian company was to supply to some fictitious Ministry of Interior some weapons. And they've already paid some. Why are they paying down payment and they're the ones who are supplying?
They're the ones who are supplying. I don't understand. I didn't get it either.
Facilitation fee.
Commitment.
Commitment fee. It was a commitment fee.
Facilitation. Non-refundable bond. Higher. How much?
7.5 million.
7.5 million.
It's just a little.
But
not
why
so much.
why Mali?
Because
They are known manufacturers of weapons.
It's a trader.
I
It's
understand.
an arms dealer.
Oh, no, that I've understood.
We're not going straight to the manufacturer.
Oh.
So the manufacturer
Middleman
says...
is in
Mali,
Bamako.
the middleman is in Bamako.
Manufacturer says, dealing with arms in Africa, have an agent. Authorized dealer. Pay maybe.
I know a guy. And he happens to be in Bamako.
There are people who are known.
We also know that previously Bamako has always been a conduit for weapons.
Yep.
It's always historically. So
yeah, but this
quite
guy,
a number of gentlemen.
I wouldn't have worried very much about his co-conspirators in Kenya. I would worry more about the arms dealer in Bamako.
The Malians.
Yes, that's where I would really worry. Because such people tend to be fairly serious.
Oh yeah, they are.
They've paid you money.
They'll come for you, my friend.
And you think it's this Kenyan game where you just sell and nothing happens?
You will answer.
Kenyans, we don't care. Kenyans, we go to the royal family in the Middle East and we tell them gold and we pepper with it. What is it you're telling us that the arms dealer? What?
You know,
you die once, my friend.
Royal family will come and complain to the government. And we know.
You die once.
Wow. So it seems that this is one that is being investigated. And for some crazy reason, the police don't believe Olo's version of the events and are now treating him as a suspect in the multinational fake arms deal. Other people being investigated are Mr. Joel Imanyara and Mr. Kevin Shivachi. This is an ongoing investigation. I can't reveal how the proceeding is, but it looks like it could be a bigger thing than it looks like, according to Jackson Owino, the DCIO at Kasarani. Police also believe that the victims may have lost more money in the fake deal had the players not disagreed on how to share the proceeds.
Aye.
Greed begets greed and begets other things.
So people are getting money, arms from Mali. People are getting, money from the NCPB. People are everybody's getting money somewhere. And we're here coming to work
even
at
COVID.
3. Give me that kind of money, my friend. Hey.
You'll be living on Pluto.
Yeah.
Have a residence in the galaxy.
Next thing I call Tom Japani, the head of Radio Star. This thing of waking up at 3 a.m., Tom, It's not the kind of.
Told them to stay with their 2%.
It's not the thing that I wanted to do in my 40s. I'm not coming tomorrow. And that's it.
And Tom argues, you tell him, Tom,
Tom,
keep
listen,
it.
Yeah. What does the contract say? I'm supposed to pay something to the Standard Group in lieu of notice. Send me the account details. I'm
And we'll put some extra for your
I'm
efforts.
putting it in there now. In fact, also send me your account. Takutumia nitakurushia kitu kidogo
for the trouble.
for the trouble. Jani na mimi. 3 a.m. waking up at 3 a.m.
As
every
well,
day. This is my life.
Is that,
Man.
daily, when people are sound asleep, you are waking up.
Jubilee. Top of the hour, City Muga. Today's proverb.
He who is unable to dance says the yard is stony.
That's me.
Yes.
This yard is stony.
Mawe, mingi.
Bloody hell.
Mawe.
It's 7 o'clock. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Shortly, we'll be speaking to the Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen on what's happening in the Senate. Good morning.
Mombasa Road, we're giving it all clear this morning. The JKIA stretch, just as you approach Cabanas, somebody's walking in the middle of the road, and unfortunately somebody has hit him, and he's walking again. Hopefully you don't hit him again. So there's an accident that has happened on Mombasa Road. We must understand he's not feeling too well right around now, but apart from that, everything seems to be A-okay. Waiaki Way, the jam starts at the 87, but it's moving very slowly. It's moving all the same. Juja Road is looking really good, not much in terms of traffic there. All right, let's take a look at Nyanza traffic. In Kisumu, going off Obote towards the airport, a little bit of a hold up there, but not too terrible as people make their way out of the city this morning on their business. So traffic is not giving us too much negative vibes. We have traffic all the way far back at Safari Park Hotel on Thika Road, but it's moving slowly, so it's not too bad. Let us know what you see. For now, we'll take it as it is. Spice FM KE. That's how you can reach us on Twitter, and let's keep it moving this morning.
Traffic. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room,
2 minutes
witty,
after 7.
political,
This is the Situation
engaging,
Room. It's Kenya's
deep,
biggest conversation. Broadcasting in Nairobi 94.4, Mombasa 87.9, Kisumu 102.5, Eldoret 96.7, 96.0 Nakuru, 90.9 in Nyeri, and 97.7 in Malindi. www.spicefm.co.ke is where we are live streaming, as well as live streaming on Spice FM KE, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. All eyes on senators as Kirinyaga rot is laid bare. Trial of ousted Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru started yesterday, with doctors tabling a ledger of failures that put public lives at risk. So the Kirinyaga County Assembly that is prosecuting this case against the governor was at the Senate yesterday. The man who moved the motion in the Assembly was there. He was the first one to speak. Then they brought in Dr. Gaur Gudi Kumar, who was a KMPDU union official in the region, who says, I know the plight of the healthcare workers in Kirinyaga County. Remember, they had been dismissed and then rehired. The former CEC in charge of health, who basically resigned because she fell out with the governor, also came to speak, and many others. And it was a day of basically just a lot of drama about travel payments, about how the governor has been handling the issues in the Senate. And we saw his lawyer, the lawyer for the county assembly, Ndegwa Njiru, presenting this case and examining the witnesses that were being brought. And then there was cross-examination by Waiguru's defense team, which had heavy hitters in the House, and were there and were trying to push back, and as well as now the committee members of the Senate. What do you make of it? Of what you saw? Case
Actually,
presented?
no, I'm more interested in listening to Waiguru's defense. Why I'm saying this is not that I'm not interested in hearing what those who are accusing her have to say. I'm sure there's a lot that we are yet to hear. But her defense, for me, will make interesting listening, because I'm sure she must feel she has a case. So that is what I'm waiting to hear.
I think she would definitely have an answer to a lot of these things that are being leveled, because it's not a little stuff. It's not little, right? The lists are on and on and on. If it's just about funds, funds having allegedly been misappropriated or mismanaged, there are quite a number. There's a list from 167,000, 300,000, 43,000, 943,000. I mean, the list goes on and on. It would be interesting to hear what she would have to say about some of these things. And beyond that, then there were accusations to her character and how she, previously had led. We have people who resigned as a result of what they felt was, her attitude towards how she dealt with the office. There are people who resigned because of that. There are individuals who said, well, health workers continue to go on strike because of the way in which she handled matters and that she did not deal with them in the right way.
The CEC Health resigned.
There are MCAs who felt and who talked about from where they were coming from, the patronizing manner in which she handled them. I mean, across the board. I don't think she's going to want to sit down and keep quiet about these things. And it would be interesting to hear what she would have to say in answer to what these things have, what these issues that have been leveled against her would be. It would be interesting to hear what it was. Because if the attitude that they say she has been one of kind of like indifference or really doesn't matter, I don't think that's the same attitude you want to have on the floor of the House, in terms of this case. So yeah, I think so too. It would be interesting to hear what she's accused of. It's not something you're gonna keep quiet about and kind of scroll on your phone like it doesn't really matter.
And then there's, of course, the questions that are also being asked by the senators who are sitting there in the committee that's listening to this case. And they would ask some serious questions again to the people who are the witnesses that are being presented before them. Looking at the commentators, commentary on even on social media, you start wondering, all right, so are these senators asking the questions because they want to seek the truth? Or are they asking all these questions because they want to push back and pin down the witnesses?
Or do they want to ensure, because this is in the public domain, that they're seen as people who are actually trying to do their job?
They did their job. But in the end, this is a fait accompli. It's done, it's dusted. Whatever you do, the report has already been written. This is what is going to happen. When they come to present their report in the Senate, it'll be very clear. Among the people who have been saying that this is already done deal, I mean, why are we just wasting a lot of time here, is the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, Kipchumba Murkomen. And the Elgeyo Marakwet Senator, you remember, is the immediate former majority leader in the Senate. Just a couple of months ago, when the case for Kiambu was brought by the Assembly in Kiambu, the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet was those that were saying, no, let's have a committee that's going to have a lot of time dedicated to hearing this case. And when the accusations came that, this committee already have been decided on what it wants to do, it'll bring a fait accompli to the House, he was very, very adamant and said, no, we want to go and serve justice to the people of Kiambu County. Now he's the one who's actually going out and saying, this committee, the way everything, if it smells, walks, and whatever like a duck, is a duck. Kipchumba is on the line. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning.
How are you doing? Welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you very much. I'm fine. Thank you.
Now, we have seen you were watching the proceedings of the Senate yesterday, the committee yesterday. Of course, you were also in the chamber because the Senate was still sitting. But from what we saw, your comments on social media, you seem not to trust that this is going to be a clear process.
The reality is that that committee was formed specifically to clear the governor of Kirinyaga. And I have, and this was not hidden. We know that the Prime Minister sat with his side, and Waiguru sat with him. We know that the whip of the Senate Majority Side, Senator Kamata, was on public saying that we must defend Waiguru. He's innocent. Senator Orengo on the House, whose responsibility is to also determine the people who are sitting in that committee, said that Waiguru, somebody wants the head of Waiguru, and gave the analogy, the biblical analogy of Salome, Herod, and Herod's wife, and all that kind of story. So it's in public domain that they were, prepared to clean and remove her. And even the committee proceedings yesterday, everybody watched it. It was very clear that most of the committee members were siding and acting and behaving like defense counsel, like they are the ones who are, acting on record for Anne Waiguru. So I have said it over and over again, and it is known even in the Senate that committee is the best way to prosecute such a matter, but not a committee that has been predetermined, not a committee that has been formed with the persons responsible for forming that committee already having instructions to save the governor. Remember, Senator Orengo is saying that somebody wants the head of Waiguru. This is not about responsibility. It is not about it. And his deputy is now chairing the committee. So you know what the results are.
But just by saying that, it doesn't mean that they are going to abandon what they are supposed to do. That they'll go to the Senate, they'll go to the committee and sit as members of that committee and and listen to what is being presented before them with merit and judge with merit. Unless you want to directly say that that your fellow senators, you have been a senator for the last number of years, so you know what happens in the Senate, your fellow senators, and therefore you don't put it past them because you belong to the same band of politicians.
Let me tell you, the governor of Taita Taveta was there before this one.
Yes.
And he comes from even the opposition. And we formed the committee, and he was cleared, and I never complained because we are not in the same political side. He even fights our political fights us. But I can tell you for sure, the committee was formed above board. The committee did not have predetermined results. They went and listened to that case, and they came with a verdict that was not predetermined. The Senate in Wambora, where I sat in the committee as vice chair of Senator Kalwale.
Yep.
We found Wambora guilty twice. He only survived through a court process, and it was a committee process. In the case of Chepony of Kericho, committee found him, which was said by Kiraitu, we found him not guilty, and I never complained. I'm not complaining on this one because I hate committee process or because I have anything to do with the removal of Waiguru. I am telling you from the inside information that this was a done deal. See, what you are seeing there, that committee is doing this and that, is a facade. Unless you don't want me to say the truth.
Is this why you are opposing the formation of a committee and wanting it to go to plenary?
In fact, if I was not given the room to speak, despite the fact that you saw I raised a lot of points of order. I was not given room to prosecute my matter in my side of the story. I was not opposed to a committee prosecuting that matter. I was opposed to the composition of that committee. I said, I requested my colleagues that let's have a process that is transparent for which involves the members of the House and who sits in that committee than those who have already struck a deal with the governor to determine those who are sitting in the committee. In the absence of that process that is transparent, the formation of that committee, then it would be the logical thing to go to the
Plenary.
To the plenary.
Would you say it's the same thing? I mean, the kind of feeling or public sentiment that you are raising now is the same sentiment that was there when you came and proposed a committee to interrogate the issue of the Kiambu Governor Babayao.
Yeah, but
There was a sentiment that, the people that you had proposed, especially from the Jubilee side, and the people that had been proposed from the opposition side, looking at the composition of that committee, those were people that had been predetermined to go and clear Waitito.
But I offered that we change the membership. That I was ready for the membership to be changed so that it can proceed, because I still believe committee is the best way to deal with the matter.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I acceded to, it went to the plenary, and the plenary did what they did. So why not then, if the way to go, if they were right on
Babayao.
Waitito,
Yep.
yeah, why then not apply the same consistency on Waiguru? If the accusations against what I was doing then were right, So what is the problem? And remember, the same chair, Senator Malala, is the same chair I proposed.
You had proposed.
Yeah.
Kipchumba, if you see that this is a fait accompli, as has been said previously, by yourself, what do you think would be the overriding reason behind wanting to save Waiguru? Why would there be such a resounding clamor to save her, from your point of view?
Since the handshake came into be, the opposition looked like the government, and the government looked like the. What happens in the now is that even Senate that was emboldened in the past, on both sides to stand up to the executive, is now the executive's lapdog. And the worst part of it is that whatever the president wants, the former prime minister will want to do everything to deliver for him, and vice versa. So, the connections of Waiguru in the higher corridors of power, her role in participating in the EBI processes.
Yep.
She has already visited the Capitol Hill, and you say now as this country, she's been cleaned and washed, and are now clean. So it is purely politics. And you remember, they want to create this impression that William Ruto told the voters of Kirinyaga, the MCAs of Kirinyaga are told that, so we don't want Waiguru to be moved so that it doesn't look like the William Ruto with the MCAs of Kirinyaga and so forth. It has nothing to do with that. It's purely politics.
So has William Ruto participated at all in trying to influence the MCAs of Kirinyaga?
That sounds extremely ridiculous.
We don't know who this person is that Orengo was referring to, who wanted the head of Anne Waiguru. Could it be William Ruto?
But, they say sometimes it is the PS Kibicho, William Ruto, the governor, senator, whatever. They can say whatever they say, but nowadays, for them to coalesce together, it has to be an agenda against William Ruto, and I'm sure they lie to themselves that it has something to do with William Ruto.
Senator, this scenario that you have described, where the goings on in Senate, you paint a picture of a group of legislators who sat and predetermined the outcome of what they wanted and agreed. Is this something that is usual in this house?
No. I can't say it's usual, because this is the first time you find the majority and minority side united in greed. And this unity in greed has been brought by the application of the so-called handshake. So basically, it is a short-term political agreement that is intended to keep this what is called the Kieleweke ODM coalition. And the merits of the case, it is something that has not even lasted more than a year, because even after the handshake, they still stood firm to become independent. Both sides. I mean, the accusations that are being leveled against me are basically because I stood up to many things that was considered I should have helped the executive to pass, which are unconstitutional. I see many people, I see sometimes on social media, you never used to raise these issues when you were in the Senate. But I think these are people who live in ignorance. From 2013, what's the record of the Senate? I was the chair of the Devolution Committee. I transferred. National government didn't want to go to countries as a chair of the committee. I was part of and parcel of the team that sued national government, National Assembly for bills that were being passed unconstitutionally. When I became the majority leader, I led the House in going to court against the National Assembly and National Executive, the President, for signing over 30 bills, and forced the transfer to Nairobi. From Nairobi to a military entity called Nairobi Metropolitan Services. There are so many things I can list that I have stood for, and yet I was the majority leader. I mean, it's not something that started because I left office, and if I was even in office, I'd still be doing the same. There is amidst all this political noise, if you were keen enough all of my political journey, to realize that there is a certain consistency on matters of devolution that I've never compromised.
Let's go back to the Waiguru issue, Senator, as we conclude the conversation this morning. There are always accusations in such matters in the National Assembly and in the Senate that people are paid. Do you think money exchanges hands in such situations? Actually, not do you think. You have been a senator now. This is your second term. Does money change hands?
Well, to be very frank, I don't think it's about money. I must be frank and honest. If it was about money, senators are capable of rising above money. This is politics. Even if money exchanged hands, it never exchanged, and it's not at the level of senators. It's at the level of, out there, the political mandarins and political brokers. But in the House, it's not money. If it was money, I can tell you for sure it's impossible to buy those senators. But it is more about the political instructions that they receive for political gains at this point in time. So I would never attribute anything there to money. I would attribute it to politics, the short-term interest of politics.
Kipchunge, you talk about this a lot. I mean, talking about that it's politics, and a lot of this seems to have swayed away from what the initial case is, and it's not being looked at really as such. I mean, we know that the proceedings are taking place. We know that there are witnesses who are coming forward, but then it seems that all the other, as you call it, the politics and the drama then seems to be flying in the face of what would be the democratic space. What would you have to say about that? I mean, if there's a case to be heard, it seems that the process then will not be followed if somebody's already going to be saved.
I can tell you one thing, that if the Senate was functioning the way it was, assuming even there was a strong minority side and there is a majority side that wants to save Waiguru, I can tell you there would have been a split in the House. A great portion of the majority would have stood with the truth, and and if the minority side still wanted to push for accountability, we would have found the truth on this matter. But if you, in the circumstance that we are living in, it's very peculiar. Everybody is being rough-shotted, and everybody is being shepherded to a particular direction in the country to think and reason on behalf of one person. You see now there is a lot of loyalty pledge that is being made on the floor of the House and all over. And Honorable Junet was more honest in the National Assembly to say that you do this, and if you do, you face the consequences that Duale faced. So we have a peculiar situation that Parliament is no longer standing up to interests of Wanjiku, and also the separation of powers doctrine is thrown out of the window. Nobody gives any much regard now to Parliament because You have people there who, on a phone call, they just shake and move very fast to do the things that the executive.
Mheshimiwa, if I may ask, is it unusual for politicians to behave in this way to support a cause that is in their political interest? And of course, they will say this is all in the name of Wanjiko.
Well, it's not unusual, let me put it that way, but it's unusual for all the politicians to, all of them unite in subverting the pursuit of justice. You see, you will find a pocket of the politicians doing this or that, but you will also find a critical part of Parliament still standing up to the truth. But at the moment, this is the unique thing about the situation is that the whole country is being shepherded in a particular, it's being actually dictated to behave in a particular manner and to push for a particular direction, which is absolutely not in the interest of the public. Then why did we have multi-party democracy?
So thank you very much, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, for speaking to us this morning. We know that you are getting into some other engagement, and we'd like to let you go off into that. Asante sana for speaking to us. We'll keep monitoring, of course, what's happening in the Senate in this matter of the impeachment of Waiguru, and we'll see whether you'll be proven right or wrong.
You don't need to monitor anything. That thing is done.
It's done as far as you're concerned.
And that's it. We have only 2 days to confirm.
What if after this particular case, the next one is a Tanga governor who comes to the house? What do you think will happen?
They have the if it becomes a governor that is considered, let's not even use the word Tanga. If it's a governor that is considered to be not to be part of the handshake, whatever they call it, yeah, they will impeach him. Yeah.
Asante sana.
In fact, I usually tell my friends, try your best to walk the narrow path, because if you are supporting William Ruto and you are brought to the Senate now, you will be impeached. And in fact, let me reveal something to you, that even our friends who have said they need to go to Capitol Hill to go and shake hands with Raila Odinga and take a picture so that they are not impeached through a process that is concocted. We have told that is okay, go do it.
It sounds almost ridiculous though, Kipchumba. I know you gotta go, but doesn't it sound ridiculous that we're saying these things right now when we're talking about a supposedly democratic process and development and things like that? I mean, just what you're saying, in order to remain relevant, you must go and then shake hands of particular powers that be.
It is. I mean, it is contradictory. You have. We have our president retiring. He has only 2 years. We are talking about legacy, and I don't know why after 8 years of public service as a president, you want your legacy to be part of this kind of shenanigans. I mean, it's an oxymoron. The conversation around we want to have a new Kenya, we need a BBI process so that we have a great future, and yet that great future is actually a retrogression. So the real thing is an oxymoron.
So are you also advising them not to appear at Jubilee Asili because they may find themselves in a problem? Jubilee Asili Center.
The people who have stood against these shenanigans are people who are ready to pay the ultimate price. The rest of our friends, we've told them, buy time. Naturally, a year or so, naturally things will sort themselves.
Okay.
Yeah? But now, if you're a governor, you are a CEO somewhere, you are a cabinet secretary, and you need to keep your job, and you don't want to be seen with us, don't call us. Just hang in there.
So what's happening at Jubilee Asili Center? What's that all about?
No, Jubilee Asili Center is about it's an office for the people. It's for those who cannot access the main office, which is the Jubilee Party headquarters of Thika Road. But let no one make mistake. We are members of Jubilee and major stakeholders of Jubilee and shareholders, and we are going nowhere.
When you say you cannot access the Thika Road offices, what exactly do you mean? Is it that you go there and the Askaris don't open the gates for you? What does...
No. The access means you cannot you can't be served in that office because you are considered a tanga. Your cries cannot be heard. You can't even go there to have meetings. You can't go ahead there to raise even concerns about your party. So it's better we have an office where we organize ourselves as we wait for the right time.
And what will you do when the right time comes?
We will take over the party.
Oh, so the plan is not to get out of Jubilee.
No. How do you get out your own house?
We've seen it happen before. You got out of URP.
But we didn't get out of URP. We got into Jubilee together with URP and then dissolved URP.
Okay.
But of course, it is true that many people have left their parties. President Uhuru Kenyatta left KANU. He was exiled from KANU by Gideon Moya and the other group, and he went from TNA and became president. So William Ruto was chased from ODM, formed the URP, and became deputy president. So that has happened before. But in this instance, the people who are being locked out of Jubilee are more than the ones who are locked out. So at the right time, we will just pick up our party.
Kipchumba, so when you talk about now the future of Jubilee, and you're saying yes, you're gonna take over the party at some point when you're calling this the right time. In the meantime, if we look back, everybody who calls this show says, look, these guys are getting what they deserved, what they had coming for them. You are told many times by the president, please stop campaigning, stop going in these tanga rallies. Many times you are also told, in fact, we also understand that in the meetings that we don't know you, I'm sure you've attended these meetings, the president tells you, you people have been insulting me and you think I do not know about it.
No, first of all, let's start with this mantra of don't campaign. So it is us who are campaigning, but the Tingas, the Uhurus, holding all these meetings at night with the likes of Murades and so forth. What are they doing? So they are having Christian fellowships at night.
They're strategizing.
Yeah, of course, that's a fact. And number two, it's not like we met President Uhuru Kenyatta the other day. He has been our president from 2013. We campaigned from 2013 to 2017. Uhuru Kenyatta, when he was a deputy prime minister, campaigned throughout the second term of President Mwai Kibaki. What the hell is all this contradiction about? You see, William Ruto has not even campaigned, but he's being accused of campaigning. But suppose he campaigned the way they did with Uhuru Kenyatta in the second term of Mwai Kibaki, with all the prayer rallies against the ICC all over the country. I mean, really?
The difference here, Kipchumba, is that in the days of the Grand Coalition government, none of the two principals had asked anyone not to campaign. The retiring president did not ask anybody to stop campaigning. In this particular case, your party leader has asked you, please reduce the number of meetings that you're going to do, which are focused on 2022. Let's focus on the now.
Show me one meeting that William Ruto has gone to campaign. One, only one.
Well,
and I want you guys to search and call me next week if you find one, not two.
William Ruto has attended very many meetings where the people who go with him, including Kipchumba Murkomen and other MPs, talk about 2022. When the deputy president stands up, he talks about everything else. He talks about the development, yes. But the people who speak ahead of him, including Kipchumba Murkomen, will talk about 2022 and the succession and the legacy and, the Hustler Nation and the issue of dynasties. They'll talk about all these things. So
and that is considered campaigning.
But let me ask you a question. What meeting is it? Is it a campaign rally?
Does it have to be a campaign rally in order for campaigning to take place, Kipchumba?
You guys are discussing campaigning. But if I go to a church and talk about it, what business do you have to engage me on a church?
It's because you're a politician.
No, I'm just asking you. I am on Sunday.
Yep.
I'm in a church.
Yep.
I have already got to church. I was invited to come and do for Arambe, for example.
Yep.
Yeah. I have finished my Arambe and I tell people about what we are doing as Jubilee and what we intend to do and what our future is all about and so forth. What business, what job have I stopped? What development have I stopped?
You are a politician, and when a politician speaks, people impute political motives.
But I've asked you, what programs of government will I have blocked on a Sunday afternoon speaking about 2022, for example? So you can see
Kipchumba, it's diverting the focus of the people from the now to the future. And this is what the party leader had a problem with. This is what he was talking about. Let's not talk about the future. Let's talk about the now.
You guys who are in the media also,
yep,
you must know that you are part of the democratic process of this country. This overly talking about the leader said, please, you guys, please, let us talk about institutions of governance. The executive has a responsibility to do roads, to do supply water, do all those things. Tell me how Murkomen in a church service will stop government from doing its program.
We actually talk about institutions. We're talking about an institution or a political party, which has a position of a party leader. In fact, remember, we haven't mentioned Uhuru Kenyatta. We are saying party leader. So our focus here is on entrenching democracy. If your structures of your party say that your party leader can ask you to do something, that's what we are raising.
So you are now telling me that going forward, this country, one person will be telling people go left and they go left, to go right. There are no institutions.
But the individuals you speak of represent the institution. In the absence of those people, the institution is an inanimate object.
Did you go to the party and say, now listen, what we are hearing from our party leader is not in the ideals of our party? Deal with him in the party.
How do you go to a party that has never held a meeting for the last 3 years? The only next meeting they did was to remove people. My friend, you see, I am just appalled by the behavior of the media, and I've seen in newspapers, in radios, and everywhere on electronic and print media, perpetuating this idea that the leader has said. I mean, where are institutions in this country? You see, if that is what we wanted in the country, why did we change the constitution? We should have allowed Moi to dictate us all through. We reduced the country from a rule of man to a rule of law.
Exactly.
Where it's governed by institutions. And that is the reason why we have the problem we have in this country, because we are now trying to perpetuate dictatorship of an individual.
As a young leader, Kipchumba Murkomen, a young leader who has risen to high levels of a political party, what would be the best way to address such an issue in a political party? If you feel that your party leader is becoming draconian, imperialist, what is the best way to deal with such a person in a political party so that you ensure that your party
remains democratic,
adheres to ideals of democracy?
You try your best, like we've done, to insist for the party to have meetings. You continue raising those issues that have gone wrong with the party and the country. You continue speaking out. Hopefully someone will listen and will take corrective measures.
Are there structures in your political party that allow you, for example, to call a meeting in the absence of this draconian party leader?
I have no power to call party meetings.
Can you rally people to call party meetings?
Well, we have tried to write the SG. You remember the many letters we've written that the party should meet, and it's never been honored.
So who makes that the final decision?
It is made by the National Executive Committee meeting of the party, which is chaired by the President as the Secretary General. So, and if the Secretary General and the Chairman of the party and the party leader conspire, there is nothing which will happen.
Which means,
and for us, the party leader is the President. So you know the fear that goes with being a President. Yeah.
So it's about the institutions not being strong enough, or the party structures not being strong enough to stand up to a draconian leader. It is not about the media saying this or the other. Basically, if within the structures of Jubilee party, you could not sit down and censure your party leader, it's about the party and how you formed it.
The things that go wrong in Jubilee are going wrong in that. Jubilee is the party that has formed the government.
Yep.
So if all of us don't do something to check the executive and the Jubilee, it is the same problems we are seeing across the country. It's the same thing about Kirinyaga now. You know, it's the same thing. It's what has happened within ODM and Jubilee that has contributed to the kind of the country we have now, that we are now being told we must seem loyal to pledge day and night.
So this is the Uhuru government that's basically destroying democracy.
The Uhuru government ended a long time ago, my friend. We are talking about Kieleweke government.
Oh, we no longer have an Uhuru government.
Are you a stranger in Jerusalem, eh?
I am in Jerusalem. I've been here for a while.
Chumba, the question has often arisen, and I'm asking it again now. I mean, and you've just alluded to that a few seconds ago. You talk about things that we see if a structure has been destabilized, like the party, then essentially you're saying that it's indicative of what is going on in the country. So is this nation structureless then when it comes to governance? Is that what you're saying essentially? And if a party was able to bring that about, then it's pretty sad. Because look, let's just be honest. Ideology is not what runs parties in this country. It is individuals, and we know that for a fact. If we are able to go back to an ideological structure for parties, then is it possible then for us to see a country that is run structurally? It wouldn't matter which individual came into place.
You are right. You are totally right. In fact, I have nothing useful to add. As a matter of fact, for as long as we still keep saying the party leader this, the party leader that, as though there is no structures in this country, and that one individual now will wake up one morning and come and change leadership of parliament, he wakes up in the afternoon, changes again, does what he wants to do, dictates parliament to do what they do. Even in countries that the Democrats and Republicans in the U.S., there is no way Trump will come and dictate anything to the Republicans. They negotiate. He calls the majority leader, they sit with the leadership, they say this is our manifesto, this is what we want to do. But this one is back to 60s or 70s.
So did this happen all of a sudden? Because it can't be that this character, it was just a shift in character with a snap of the fingers. At some point, with the Uhuru presidency, everybody seemed to have been happy with the status quo. What changed, Kipchumba?
Not necessarily. The opposition was not happy. More than half of the country was not happy with us, or just slightly less than half of the country. Internally, we had our own free and democratic processes. We held so many meetings. We disagreed inside there. There are many things we averted that could have been worse, that has now been enabled by the handshake. Now that there is one country, one supreme leader, one voice, one decision, one brain, one mind. You see, nobody is supposed to raise anything to the contrary. And if you do, you face the consequences. You are either charged in court, or DCI comes for you, or EACC comes for you, or all this kind of shenanigans. I mean, this is dictatorship per se.
And yet you're telling us that with all this that's happening, as we see the deputy president even attending this week's parliamentary group meeting as the deputy party leader, and sitting there at the high table as deputy party leader next to the party leader, you're telling us that the Jubilee, a silly wing that is now forming and coalescing, wants to take over the party and go around the country convincing people that Uhuru and Ruto are not the ones who have brought this democracy down the way we are seeing it. It is only Uhuru, but Ruto, who was in the same vehicle, can take over the party and the leadership of the country. And you expect that you're going to be able to convince people that we can separate the failures of Uhuru from Ruto, or the wins of Uhuru from Ruto?
Why don't you wait for time? Why are you rushing? We know what we'll tell you when the time comes.
What I find interesting, Senator, is that you very correctly talk about misdeeds that the government now seems to be perpetrating against those who appear to oppose the government or the sayings of one individual, as you say it. But what you've described is something the opposition in this country has been facing for the longest time. Apart from being arrested, we've had situations where people actually get shot and they actually die. How come issues were not raised when this happened to the opposition, who are as much Kenyans as those who are in power?
You will not believe this, but many people raised those issues internally and averted even worse issues. Yeah, but now the people who used to complain are now in charge, thanks to Kieleweke structure of government. So now, since they are in charge, they are now happy. They no longer complain about Musando or Baby Pendo or all that kind of. They are very happy, one happy family.
The fact that you have a union doesn't mean people are happy. Sometimes the union is for convenience.
Have you heard Raila Odinga speak about Musando and Baby Pendo again?
Maybe he's speaking the way you used to speak internally.
But I'm just saying, these complaints are, maybe he's speaking internally, so that's fine. So why are you asking me that question then if he's speaking internally?
We are not seeing the results now as we were not seeing the results earlier.
Okay, let's wait for the results, but the results include clearing corrupt governors from office.
Do you think the fight against corruption is being derailed now with all this purge?
No fight. There is no fight against corruption in this country. Political fight fashioned around corruption.
Is there corruption in the country?
There is corruption.
So how else would the fight against corruption manifest itself?
We are not fighting corruption. We are fighting politics. We are looking for cherry-picking people based on who they support politically.
Examples?
You go and pick. I have so many examples.
Just
the
one.
CEO of Kenya.
Sorry, Kipchumba, we didn't get that.
I'm saying the CEO of Kenya Power was fired. He was told that he was corrupt, but later the board had to negotiate with him to leave office. You know, you have so many. The CEO of Kenya Pipeline, because they were perceived to come from the same community and friends with William Ruto. There are so many people, my friend, governors being charged in court, some being asked to that they will be charged, fighting of projects like Aurora and Kimware, you know, all those other things.
And
there is enough. It's a whole day discussion if you want to that direction. It's just a hoax.
And in all these cases, Kipchumba, don't you think that there's any merit for the officers, for example, the ODPP, the EACC, the DCI, to come in and investigate? Why are you only picking the political side of things?
Well, if I am wrong, it's approved by time. And I've always told you, see, if I am wrong, let's start with Waiguru on Friday. Yeah.
Kipchumba Murkomen, thank you very much for speaking to us. Asante sana. We know that you've given us a bit more time than you had initially anticipated. We enjoy talking to you, and we'll invite you now to come to the studio once we are able to fight this corona.
Yes.
Corona has given an opportunity to clean house in many ways.
Are you cleaning their house?
Yeah. After corona, we'll be new, revamped, and clean.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator.
Have a good day.
It's a situation room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. 7:45. We've been speaking to the Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen. Let's take a break, take a look at the weather and traffic shortly. Good morning.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
It's mostly cloudy in Nairobi, 16 degrees currently, and we'll see rain showers later in the afternoon with highs of 23. Taking a look then into Nyeri, where it's likely to be a wet afternoon as well with highs of 22. Nakuru promises the same with highs of 23 and showers well into Thursday morning. Eldoret, 13 degrees, is partly cloudy this morning. That'll change later though. Highs of 21 and lows of 11 with showers through most parts of the afternoon. 19 degrees and mostly sunny in Kisumu for now. That'll change later. Highs of 28 and lows of 18 with rain later on. Mostly sunny in Kakamega, but that changes as well. Highs of 26 when the rains come in and lows of 14. Malindi at 26 degrees will also experience a wet afternoon today. Highs of 27 and lows of 24. It's 25 degrees and cloudy in Mombasa. It's intermittent showers already and likely to continue into thunderstorms well into Thursday with highs of 27 and lows of 23. 19 degrees and partly cloudy in Kampala. Highs of 26 with thunderstorms expected later on. Take a look into Dar es Salaam, where it's going to be a mostly cloudy day with highs of 30, currently standing at 24 degrees. It might rain, but it might not. Johannesburg at 6 degrees is clear this morning, all clear through the day, highs of 18 and lows of 2. And finally, for now, I'll wrap things up in Lagos, where it's clear skies at 25 degrees. It's going to be a showery afternoon with highs of 30 and lows of 24.
It's a cleansing job. It's a fait accompli. It's all done and dusted. This entire Waiguru hearing is a charade. This is what Kipchumba Murkomen is saying. He says, I'm
really
speaking from the inside. I saw the formation of this committee. I saw why the committee was formed. I could tell from the vibe of my fellow senators as they were speaking, as they were, canvassing to join the committee. It was clear the direction it was taking from the very beginning.
You know, everything that the good senator has said, if I listen to him closely, if I didn't know it was Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, I would actually ask, who is this person in the opposition?
He is now in the opposition.
Who is putting across his views so clearly? Because it's either the opposition were right all along in the things that they were saying, or the good senator has had an epiphany. He's had a road to Damascus experience, and he suddenly realizes that certain things are as he is stating them to be.
I think it proves one thing. The fact that people, when they move to the opposition, they raise the same issues, same issues, it means that these are the issues. It means that this is the truth of the matter. This is how things are, okay? So whether it's Raila speaking about it today, or now he joins the government and starts speaking about it, and the person who was in government now comes to the opposition and starts speaking about it. The thing is, message is the issue.
And also,
it is there. It means that it's actually possible that the reality of things is you go through the Senate and you expect it to be a process that's above board. That yes, there's going to be political. Of course, it's a political process. There's going to be a lot of political horse trading. But at the end of the day, the interest of the people is what's going to be served. They right there at the entrance to Parliament for the just governance of. It used to be just governance of men. Now it's for the just governance of citizens.
Yes, lofty words indeed. But
just governance.
If we were to judge these very, very honorable individuals, Kenyans, by their deeds, though, one will find there's a lot that is really not that honorable. And two, will find that one of the things that actually gets sacrificed at the altar of politics is the so-called interest of the citizen.
I would think in most cases, all the time.
The bottom line is that the person who ends up with the short end of the stick is the citizen.
And it is interesting because the
Continuously.
person who at the beginning, when all of this clamor for leadership and position was being made, it was that interest that was being put on the platter and saying it is for your interest
It still
that we are
is.
fighting for this.
It still
But
is.
that is the same interest that gets sacrificed when these individuals then are clamoring for this position. It's strange, but you would think that this same interest is what would be seen unto the end, but it never happens.
The owner of the stick, actually, this stick is chained to the citizen. All right, so it never leaves the citizen's hand, but he always has the shorter end. That stick
You know, the
moves it from here, gives
this
it to this other
constitution
person, and
actually
gives
sought
seeds
to
too
put
much
that
ground.
stick firmly in the hand
of the citizen.
Yes.
And the longer end of it, no doubt.
But the citizen keeps ceding to
The
the, other
longer
side.
end to the other
Yes.
side.
You know, there's a saying that if you pick one end of the stick, you also pick the other, isn't it? We have a situation where you only pick the short end.
Yeah.
The other
Every
end,
time.
The other end doesn't move.
It doesn't move. It keeps going to the wrong person. It's to. And what he's saying, well, I listened to what he's saying and what was said when the issue of Babayao came to the Senate, and even the sentiment of our own audience, even in this room, this matter, we were like, okay, it's not going to be about what the good MCAs of Kirinyaga have put together as a case against their governor. It's going to be about political interest.
Isn't it very sad that
Leaning.
that is what is on the stage right
Yeah,
now?
but
and
what
that is
this-
everybody
what
is
these
watching.
witnesses were saying, these are professionals, so they were like, okay, I am a doctor. I am a union leader. Kirinyaga is within my region. I have spoken to the members of the union in Kirinyaga, and they've given us their plight.
And this
And
is
this
what
is what
we're
I'm saying.
presenting.
CEC comes and says, I am a doctor. I don't play the politics. I was appointed. I was given a role of health. I came up with a plan. We worked together with the governor. And then I realized that we are heading in the wrong direction. This governor is not listening.
And some of the
this
things
is what I am
she was
saying.
suggesting the governor was suggesting we should do was against the very, very policies that this CEC was supposed to implement. He
supposed
said,
to be
no,
implementing.
we can't do this.
Lives. That is not the point.
It's not center stage.
That does not take center stage of what is it that this, even if you survive this particular issue, what is it that you need to do to right the wrongs? Because there are some wrongs.
And it is rather pitiful because, this is not a matter of guilty or not guilty, but the fundamental issues that are being brought to the fore in the impeachment in the first place. The fundamental issues that that one would hope would be addressed by this trial that is going on right now have been thrown out the window, flown out the window, unfortunately.
But there's this
the
aspect-
CECs that you're speaking about, policies upon which a county is supposed to be run and governed,
Yep.
out the window. And that's not the focus. That at the end of the day should be the focus.
But if you
Was
listen
this
to what,
duty expended? Was it administered?
But if you listen to what the good senator was saying, he turned it around and was calling this entire process a witch hunt. And yet, if you look at even the cases that he mentioned, the arm of the state security that were involved in this presented their case well. They did not just wake up. They said, look, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're doing it, and this is why we're doing it. Right now, we have a case where there are officials of Kenya School of Law who have been arrested for the claim is that there's 198 million graft claim. If you listen to what the CEO of the Anti-Corruption Commission has said, he said, I am satisfied that there is sufficient evidence against them to support charges under the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act of 2003. He has stated. But I am sure somebody somewhere is going to come up and say, this is witch hunting. They are picking on these people.
Because of their name.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
second name.
yes. And the issue of the law and the issue of the evidence that they have found suddenly takes a complete
burner.
backseat.
Completely.
Yes.
And if you want to deal in the real in what should be, it's not the case. It should be that we are looking at this for the facts that have been presented,
Yep.
for the issues that have been brought to the fore. Because at the end of the day, if you want to look at this, are the people of Kirinyaga getting what they should when it comes to governance and leadership and administration and policy?
Is it what they voted for?
Is this what they voted for? which
Or
is
their
what should
hopes and
take center stage.
aspirations.
But everything but that is what is being discussed today. And if anything, I think it's our duty to keep pulling it back and saying at the end of the day, when we're talking about the democratic space, when we're talking about the development of a nation, when we're talking about right leadership and governance, that's what should be in front. That's what should be front and center. But now words of witch hunt and words of fait accompli and words of protectionism and a friend of the state come into play when the people again
Coming to play now, and this is something that the opposition has been complaining
has
about
been complaining
for
about
the
for a very
longest
long time.
And we can clearly see they were not sincere, even them then. They were just looking for their own political mileage by raising the issues.
Unfortunately,
Same thing that we are seeing now, the Tanga people using this same story for political mileage because they know it's there and they know they are also not interested in getting that resolved.
Eric, there are two things here. There's the reality of what they're saying, and there is the interest and the purpose for which it's being said. I would like to separate the perpetration of these things from the people who are putting these matters forward. Let's look at it later after the break.
We talk about this in the next hour. We're talking about corruption. Today's proverb
is, he who is unable to dance says the yard is stony.
How apt. Good morning, 8 o'clock.
Let's take a look at Ngongo this morning. It's moving very smoothly all the way into town, and that's getting you to the City Mortuary roundabout. Not too bad. Thika Road inbound all the way from Survey is jam-packed, bumper-to-bumper situation. The service lane, however, is not so bad. That can be used as well. The eastern and southern bypasses are open for use this morning, and unfortunately, Mombasa Road is packed to the max. Bumper-to-bumper traffic, you're not being able to move as much as you would like. Between Cabanas specifically and General Motors, after that you move just a little bit until you get right around Capital Center in both directions, moving very, very slowly. Patience up is what is necessary today. Coming out of Westlands towards the Westlands roundabout and then out towards the University of Nairobi roundabout, you should be fine. Getting into the CBD will not be too painful. It's slow on Jogger Road, but you'll get there eventually into the CBD coming to the City Stadium roundabout. All right, we'll take a look at what it looks like in a short while. A shout out to us on Spice of MKE on Twitter. Let us know what you see so we can keep it moving this Wednesday morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room,
It's
witty,
2.5
political,
minutes.
engaging,
Thank you very
deep,
much for tuning
controversial.
into the
In the room,
97.7
we have
Malindi.
CT
We understand that,
Muga.
you're having issues with the frequency this morning. Our technical team is on that. You can still watch us on www.spicefm.co.ke and also on Spice FM KE, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Many comments this morning on people who are actually following the live stream. Someone, Opio Roya, listening to the insightful discussion from Kisumu, Senator Murkomen has a valid point in my opinion. This is someone... Kiplangat Ezra is locked in from Bomet County. Kisumu Kibos, Geoffrey Muchama. Malindi, we are sorting that out. New Clinton, we are working on Malindi. City, Shadrach Jeremiah says the 2 shilling narrative yesterday, that made his week. Remember the 2% VAT reduction of 2%?
The one you like very much.
Yep. Anyway, we'll be having that conversation about social protection again at 9 o'clock. We'll be reaching out to all our listeners and our viewers this morning and asking, how is it affecting you? Where is it pinching you most? So the conversation continues. We are now talking about the fight against corruption. So what is it that's happening at the Kenya School of Law? And then there's some legal proposal that has been tabled in Parliament.
You know, these...
Okay.
The legal proposal that has been, when I read it, the first thing that came to my mind is something that was enacted in America called the Patriot Act after 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave the state organs some really broad, powerful, sweeping powers. They could arrest you, they could detain you, they could snoop into... I mean, essentially, anything that their so-called First Amendment gave them was more or less compromised. Now, we seem to be seeking to put in place a similar law that will give the Minister for Interior some genuinely serious powers.
The security laws, eh?
Yep. powers to look into what you say, what you send. But what is of interest, though, is that within that particular bill, they are proposing to have corruption cases concluded in 2 years.
Yeah.
Meaning these things that, remember like the case that was mentioned in yesterday's papers about a gentleman, the MP for Sirisia. That thing was a 2013 case. Yes. And matters are coming to a close now. And I'm sure there are many other cases that haven't even
stayed longer than 10
exactly.
years.
So they're saying you want to speed this up. Now, the thing that, of course, comes to mind is if we have a situation where the judicial system is telling you we don't have enough officers to make such things possible. So are they going to ensure that the judicial service has sufficient officers to enable them to actually put these things into practice? Because it's one thing to have a law, but if you can't action it, and if you can't actually operationalize it, then how useful is that law?
True.
The thing that scares me, though, is just scares is the word here, the amount of power that the Minister for Interior will have. That I find scary.
Why?
You know, my friend, when we talked about detention in this day and age when we don't have it, the government wasn't going against the law. The law as it then existed allowed them to detain people without trial. We fought against that. It's a law that can be used to really infringe on people's rights. And it isn't as though we didn't have laws that protected people's rights. It did. But there was a law that gave the government powers to do certain things. And the current constitution sought to rectify some of these anomalies. And with the introduction of some of these new laws, I sometimes get the impression that we've moved 3 steps forward and we're moving 2 backwards. Because the justification for these laws usually was a threat of terrorism.
Yeah, a threat to national security.
If we look
With
at
a
what
threat
happened,
to national security, if you look at it purely from that point, just the issue of threat to national security, then you want to allow quick determination of these issues, right? Now, maybe the issue would be if this law then comes with regulations and says for the minister to be able to do this, this is what the checks and balances that would be in place. In this particular case, the proposal is that the minister will issue the warrant, not going to court to seek a warrant, but the minister will issue a warrant. Probably it's because of the history. Going to court takes forever. You're going to court and then the judge tells you, gives you a back and forth. By that time, the Terrorism Act has already been conducted. This cannot just be coming from people in Harambee House. This could must also be coming from all other security organs, those that fight terrorism, those men and women who are behind the scenes, who on a daily basis put their lives at risk, saying we are tracking terrorists, we are tracking people who are threatening stability and the lives of the people of Kenya. And these are the challenges that we face. We are so close, we can clearly see that C.T. Muga is plotting something, but I cannot go after him because my hands are tied. Now I'd like to have that leeway to move in faster to avert a strike.
Essentially, it's an amendment in the Official Secrets Act, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what they want to do. But it's laudable, it is commendable, it is appropriate. My concern is not with the appropriateness of it, but the possible misuse of it. That is actually my concern. If the checks and balance that you speak of exist or will be put in place, then of course my fears will have been allayed.
I would be interested to know, because obviously, if we're likening this to, I mean, the most similar one that we see, like you said, CT, is the Patriot Act in the United States, and the reason they did this is so that they could have an eye on ordinary Americans and what they conversations that they were having, because they could often link ordinary Americans, as it were, to then acts of terrorism, and that they were in contact with would-be terrorists at some point, and they were planning things with their help, whether it was in terms of facilitation, funds, etc., etc. Now, in Kenya, if it is being, there's so many things that this is being linked to, crime, fraud, etc. Is there enough that is being seen, that is being, from individual to individual, once these investigations open up and they can make linkages from one to the other, that then deems it necessary, just looking at your personal information, that then deems it necessary for them to have access to your personal information in order then to carry out their investigations? Has it happened so much to the point whereby they need this information, and that is the missing link in the conclusion of some of these investigations? Because if it is not, then that is a wide open door for this abuse that you're talking about. Because then it would be used as justification to call or pick up anybody at whim. Not that they're not doing that now, but it would open the door just a little bit wider for abuse, unfortunately.
Not a little bit. It will be wide open.
It's flung wide open because of this.
You see, again, to support it, to simply give it an even hand, usually when such an act is actually proposed or such an amendment is proposed, is because they've understood that much as they thought that a lot of the threats were external, they've realized that the threats are actually internal.
Majority of them were internal, yes.
Americans realize the same, that these terrorists are speaking of,
They're
were not coming from outside. They are part and parcel of the citizenry. So the only way you're going to figure this out is if the law allows you, then you have full authority and you have the ability to actually use the full extent of the law that is within your means to actually pursue and to ensure that the security of your citizenry is actually maintained.
I think it's also important for us to then look at it and say it doesn't mean that willy-nilly that people are sitting around looking at your phone records every day. It just means that in the event of an investigation being carried out and they are able to make certain linkages, then they will have access to your personal information, your phone calls, your records, etc., etc. It doesn't mean that suddenly there's going to be an ad hoc office set up where people with machines and all sorts of fantastic technological gadgets are sitting around monitoring what it is that you're saying on a regular basis. It means that they have access in the event of a threat or in the event of an investigation. They have access to this information to be able to now point fingers in that direction. So I think the fear comes in some cases that, suddenly something is going to be set up where, there's a spy looking at us at all times. But we're looking at the fact that it is in the event that information is necessary or needed. Nobody's going to have to start running helter-skelter looking for a court order, but they have direct access to that information.
In fact, in this case that we were referring to, Eric, the case of the Kenya School of Law, what stands out is actually this. What they were investigating is a list of, 6 companies, who actually, turns out, were never in the list of pre-qualified suppliers.
Okay.
And yet they were paid this whooping sum that we are speaking of. And when they looked at the goods that is supplied, they found nada. Zero.
So it was flouting the procurement law.
Not only that, they didn't supply anything.
Huh?
Yes.
What do you mean?
The invoices.
So they are not pre-qualified suppliers, but there's a tender.
Services were not even rendered.
So there's a tender that's advertised.
It's advertised.
People who are not pre-qualified apply.
Yes.
Or, no, we don't know whether they apply.
There's a process that enables them to supposedly send invoices, because it's the invoices that you're paid against. And turns out that the services were not rendered. These were among the other allegations. So the question they ask is, so how on earth did this happen? 198 million shillings later. So, when these cases are investigated into, individuals who are supposedly in charge of these processes have to be interviewed and they have to be asked, how did this happen?
Yeah, what happened here?
Yes.
It's the same thing that we keep talking about. It's the fight against corruption, the moves that are made in the fight against corruption, constantly. One step at a time.
Yes.
One step at a time. Maybe this one, it's gaining a lot of prominence because this is the Kenya School of Law, right?
Where we teach people who are supposed to come
About
and
the law. The law upon which the country then is going to be run.
And the offenses that they are being accused of are one. They're actually 5. Fraudulently making payments from public revenue for goods not supplied.
But these are not lawyers who are being charged, right? It's
No. Administration.
Administration
Yes,
officers and procurement.
people. Yes, exactly. Abuse of office, unlawful acquisition of a public property, failure to disclose a private interest, conspiracy to commit an offense of corruption. Now, they arrested the following suspects who will be arraigned in court. There's a Professor Morris Kiwinda Bondenyi, former Deputy Director of KSL, and currently the Secretary, Policy and Coordination in the Office of the Deputy President.
Ah.
All right. Can I?
Okay.
My Lord. Okay. Let's reach a little further, shall we?
2.
Okay.
Amos Kibuye Mwangi, former Assistant Director Finance and Administration at Kenya School of Law. Frank Jackson Were, the former Finance Manager, same institution. Hudson Amwai Luigado, former Accountant. Norbert Achiro Gondi, former Accountant. Paul Lovi Adenga, Director, Ademo Enterprises. Now, these are the companies that purportedly supplied things which were never supplied. Frida Wanda Agoya, Director, Frigoya Enterprises. Kenneth Uchieng, Director, Des Kench Investments. Man, the names people give organizations. Okay. Des Kench. Okay. Seriously, it's a name. Then
the whole issue about Kirinyaga is that there are 2 companies that have a name that sounds similar. Velocity.
Yes.
Velocity.
Then
Velocity.
T.
This one is
with an S.
Velocity. Velocity.
T. Okay, thank you very much.
This is a whole bone of contention in Kirinyaga. Go on.
The commission hereby directs the following persons to present themselves also to the commission immediately. They're supposed to have done so immediately. The names are Ephraim Thuku, former accounts assistant, Francis Mweke Luigondu, director, another company. If you thought we had interesting names, this one, Alfrank Investments, okay, Alfred Murange Ligwando, director, Deskench, goodness, Deskench again, Dennis Sam Achiro. You see, there are also similar names to those other people, all right? So this is where the offense of not declaring the personal interest comes in. Director of Deskench. So this Deskench features quite prominently.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am certain that when this matter comes to court, there will be a hue and cry about certain people being picked on because of certain associations and the other. But what I want to talk about is there's a clear indication that the war against corruption is actually being fought and progress is being made.
There is progress.
Yes.
Step by step, but there's something happening.
There is progress being made.
Let's discuss that. Also, look at that proposed amendment to the law that sets a time limit. I think that, for me, is the most exciting bit.
Yes.
If we say that corruption cases shall be dealt with like election petitions must be concluded within this time. Presidential petition must be concluded
by this time.
That now gives us a clear path towards victory. 18 minutes after 8, let's take a look at the weather. Good morning.
Right. 16 degrees and mostly cloudy in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 23 today, and it's going to be a wet afternoon. Nyeri will follow suit, highs of 22. Nakuru will be the same with highs of 23. Take a look then into Eldoret, where currently it's mostly sunny. That'll change later with highs of 21 and showers in the afternoon. All right. Kisumu is mostly cloudy at the moment. Highs of 28 with showers expected later. Kakamega in the afternoon also will be rainy with highs of 25. Malindi is mostly cloudy this morning. Promises of showers and thunderstorms intermittently later with highs of 27 and lows of 24. Mombasa is mostly cloudy, really cloudy this morning, and the heavens will open up not too late from now. 27 degrees the high and lows of 23. Taking a look then out into Kampala, where it's mostly cloudy at 21 degrees, highs of 26 and lows of 19 with thunderstorms in the afternoon. Dar es Salaam is mostly cloudy at 25 degrees, highs of 30 and lows of 23. Partly cloudy conditions will continue throughout the day. Let's take a look then into Joburg, where at 6 degrees it's mostly sunny. Clear conditions mark the day with highs of 18 and lows of 2. And finally, for now in Lagos, it's clear skies at 25, highs of 30 and lows of 24 with showers to be recorded in the afternoon.
It's 20 minutes after 8. This is a situation in the biggest situation. The fight, the war against corruption. Progress being made. When you talk to people who are involved in this work,
sugar and spice and everything
all of them will one of the things that happens.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
We take this part of court, and even without the judicial, just the processes that
Mornings done right.
how long
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
cases end up taking so long. A case is concluded, you're finding a win, but it's a win that's coming 15 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And this contributes to the frustration that people feel as citizens, that come on, these people are taken to court, then the next thing you just see them walking around. Yes, the court has done what the court is allowed to do. First of all, yes, admit the case in court, person takes plea, person is released on bond because they are supposed to be released on bond, and that's why you see the person walking around. The case, however, is taking now forever to conclude. Next hearing date, November 2021. When they come on that day, the judge is unwell. So next time available, September 2022. The case takes forever to move. And when you hear a case being concluded and we see EACC and the ODPP standing up and saying, yes, we have won this case, people are like, huh? Which case
are we talking about?
Which case is that? What happened? Because we even forgot something like that ever took place, was in the process. Now, with this amendment that says, let's reduce the number, let's limit. Case goes into court, it's a corruption case, it shall take this long. This also behoves on the judiciary to set up structures that will ensure that this happens.
You know, I like the fact that this was announced, but beyond the announcement, then comes the practice of it. And then to make sure that all interested parties, whether it's from prosecution to judiciary to other agencies such as the EACC, as well as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, whatever that is, that everybody has to toe the line here. And previously we've seen that, magistrates or judges would complain that, all right, we're going to call for the mention of a case. And everybody mentioned in that case with their representation comes and wants to lay forth the mention of the case, something that would take months to happen. So it seems to me that this being done is fantastic. It's great an announcement, but that means that everybody basically has to fall in line and make sure that this thing is actually done. If it takes months just to go through mentions, just mentions before you even actually start a process of a court case, then that means everybody here needs to toe the line. whomever is doing, from officers of investigation to prosecution to lawyers to judge, everybody then has to basically fall in place. Is everybody ready to do it? Or has everybody gotten comfortable with the fact that this one is not going anywhere? I can be running around the country doing other things that I need to do and not focus on a case. So I think it also calls upon, others to play some acts of responsibility here and to say that, all right, is it 2 years? So end to end, everybody's got to be involved and take that 2 years into consideration.
The thing is, if you look at the details of this bill and some of the key areas that they're proposing, one, you see, they want to more or less halt this runaway corruption. Why? We've even invented a term to explain cartels. We call them tenderpreneurs. One of the loopholes that tenderpreneurs had was in the Procurement Act, which allowed you to alter what to alter clauses that had been perhaps in the tender documents. That one is being closed, meaning they're stating whatever is in the tender documents is final. There's no amendment, nothing. You can't alter it, you can't change it. State officers who open foreign accounts have to sign and have to inform the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Before you open that account, you have to inform them. And if you do not, then you will be subject to the details of the law against that particular. There is also an attempt to ensure that bribery, which we assumed is normal. Yes, Section 14 of the Bribery Act, is also said to be amended. Okay? And it's with people who are in positions of authority. Remember, they're tying all these things with what you have, what you own, and which you can't explain fully. There have been many loopholes right now in the laws that we currently have. So it's easy for people to get away. Now, what they're doing is they've decided that it was to ensure that whatever you have is lawfully acquired. It's not just a question of you approving it, but the law now enables officers who deal with such matters to be able to have the enforcement capacities. Previously, the Anti-Corruption Commission was tethered in its ability to actually even repossess things that they were deemed to be proceeds that were ill-gotten. That the amendments also seeks to open this up. In short, the war against corruption is going to start with legal changes that will enable enforcement officers to have a lot more leeway in ensuring that they get hold of the perpetrators.
So here's the thing, though. This is first of all contained in the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill 2020.
Yes,
every year, Parliament gets one bill that is consolidated that amends very many other pieces of law. It's a miscellaneous amendment. It's called the Omnibus Bill. It's usually good, and also at the same time, it's usually quite critical because
things can slip in the door.
Things will mostly slip through the
There
cracks.
are many things being amended, so
you
it's
just
easy.
find a thing here that was amended. You passed it here, hue and cry, and then it was introduced through the miscellaneous amendment bill. Goes the way you people do not want. However, in this particular case now, we're talking about several laws that deal with fighting corruption, from the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act to now what you're saying, the Bribery Act. All those things, they have looked at the various aspects of law that need to be amended so they are aligned, so that we ensure that there is faster and speedier prosecution of corruption cases, and at the same time ensure that those who are accused of corruption, remember what we were talking about yesterday, they vacate office as they are waiting trial.
Not only vacate, they no longer have access to that office.
They no longer have access to that office.
Yes.
So it's coming to sort out those ones. For example, the Ethics, the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act has Part 2, appointment of special magistrates, the current law. All right, not the one we are amending, not the clauses that we want to amend. The power to appoint special magistrates, where it says the Chief Justice may, by notification of the Kenya Gazette, appoint as many special magistrates as may be necessary for such area or areas, or for such case or group of cases as may be specified in the notification, to try the following offences, that is corruption, bribery, economic crimes and related offences, anti-corruption, any conspiracy to commit or any attempt to commit or any abetment of any offences specified in A, that is corruption and bribery and all, right? So basically it says the Chief Justice has the powers to set up a special court to try these cases. When that special court is tried, these are the cases triable by the special court, notwithstanding anything contained in the criminal procedure code. This is what we're dealing with. Every offence specified in this act shall be tried by a special magistrate for the area within which it was committed. This is why we now have the anti-corruption, corruption magistrate courts. When trying any case, a special magistrate may also try an offence other than the offence specified in this act. Now, what the amendment that is being brought through the miscellaneous amendment is amending this 4.4. Notwithstanding anything contained in the criminal procedure code, a special magistrate shall, as far as possible, hold the trial of an offence on a day-to-day basis until completion. All right? So it doesn't specify. It just says, this now case shall continuously happen until completion.
Of interest.
You see, now continuously doesn't mean that on a day-to-day basis, doesn't mean that every day you're in court. It just means that you're allowed to have this thing on a day-to-day basis until as this happens. But however, this now, the amendment seeks to insert the words, and the trial shall be heard and determined within 2 years from the date of filing the charge.
If, however, you are a state officer who was taken to court and your case is not concluded within the 2 years, you are then allowed to apply for reinstatement.
Yep.
The pinch in this one is that you are on half pay while your case is ongoing. Yes. But also of interest is that they want, in order to enforce Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Integrity, the Committee of the National Assembly will now have powers over the President and Deputy President and Cabinet Secretaries, the Speaker and the Attorney General, and members of the independent offices and commissions. Let me carry. Yes. The DP was previously excluded from the clause that only had the President, the Speaker, AG, members of the Electoral Commission, Controller, and also Auditor General. Now, this one giving Parliament powers over the President on certain matters, this one will be interesting to see if it will be implemented.
It will be interesting to see how that would play out, really, especially with the kind of, you invite politics into some of these things already, and to say that, all right, certain powers then can be lorded over the highest
but more
power,
interestingly,
as it were. It would be interesting to see how that would actually play out, knowing the personalities and individualistic way of doing things, the way things run in this country. Law notwithstanding, we've seen law notwithstanding, people make decisions anyway.
But you see, if you're talking about the checks and balances within the various arms of government, it will now make it more real. It means Parliament can actually say, no, this is where we're going. Now, what is not clear to me is whether even on such matters the President can have veto powers. Remember,
this is the Public Officer Ethics Act.
Yes.
And this particular section that we're talking about is one that determines the body that is responsible commission for a public officer for the purposes of the Act, right? And the Committee of the National Assembly responsible for the ethics of the members is responsible for all members of the National Assembly, including the Speaker. Then it goes now to the President, the Deputy, the CSAs, the AG, and independent commissioners. Okay?
Yes.
This means that this committee, when you're talking about now the Public Officer Ethics Act, they are covered.
Yes.
And we have specified that these ones are now covered. Now, in terms of veto powers by the President, I don't know exactly what you're asking. What do you mean by veto powers by the President? What veto power?
What I mean is, if, for instance, you want an act passed and Parliament turns it down, it then goes for amendments and is taken back again. It then usually goes to the President to sign, isn't it?
Yes.
What happens if the President doesn't sign it?
Well, that's very clear in law. The back and forth between the President and Parliament eventually carries the day.
Precisely.
There's a number of days that it talks about, bill taken to the President. The President has X number of days within which to respond with his memorandum. Parliament considers that memorandum. If Parliament agrees with the president, then they amend and they send it back to him. He signs. If the president does not even respond to Parliament within X number of days, that bill becomes law automatically.
What I mean by veto powers is this. In this country, one of the things that becomes clear, remember the complaints that Senator Murkomen had. If you listen to his complaint clearly, you actually want to ask the question, is he saying that the president goes against the constitution in enforcing things that he wants done? That amounts to veto powers, meaning he can decide. He can decide that this thing is going in this direction.
Yeah, but that doesn't give it legality.
Unfortunately, if you have sway with those powers over Parliament,
if you're going against the Constitution, then you're clearly in breach of the Constitution. That can be determined in court.
Let me ask the question. What the senator was actually alluding to, he was saying that the movements among the senators right now with regards to the Waiguru case, remember he says somebody makes a phone call and people shake, all right? Is that not saying that this thing is actually being commandeered from one particular source?
That's okay, yeah.
Yes. Does it not mean that somebody, according to the senator, now there's some issue of absolute powers? Our constitution doesn't give the president absolute powers.
Gives them control. But yes, in this particular case, if you stifle the independence of individual members of parliament, then clearly, and this is why those who are arguing against this kind of moves that we are seeing coming from State House, especially to the legislature, this is what it means. It means that we are going to have the executive determining everything that it wants. It's just going back to the single party days.
In fact, I'm asking
where if State House wanted a law passed, the law would pass. It goes to Parliament. There's only one party. There's no opposition party. The one party, you are whipped to pass that law, and that's it. You oppose that party, next time you're facing the disciplinary committee. And the people who are complaining against what we are seeing now, and when I was telling you the other day, when you have a very strong executive going into Parliament and occupying a huge seat in Parliament, you're basically just neutering Parliament. And this kills democracy.
You know, there is no way the executive is going to come in and supposedly assume the powers of Parliament if Parliament doesn't allow the executive. Yes. Are we saying that there's this knife that the executive has against their throat?
Yes.
What is it? What is this knife?
Self-interest.
So self-interest on the part of the president or self-interest on the part of the legislators?
Everybody. And we have a legislature that has absolutely no backbone. People who feel that they owe their allegiance to this one person called the president.
And they can be swayed in any which direction. And I think that's why you see the differences that we see over time. That something can be said, they can be influenced, they can be swayed through whichever channel that is used.
24 minutes to 9 o'clock. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Let's take a look at traffic. This conversation continues. You can join the conversation, 0719-012-600. The fight against corruption. Very many amendments being proposed in Parliament to the law so they can align them, have speedier prosecution of cases, have better management of issues when it comes to, all right, so when a public officer has been taken to court, what happens to them? Do they stand suspended? At what point do they stand suspended? All these things are now being aligned. Good morning.
Mombasa Road at the moment is packed. It is really bumper to bumper, all the way from Cabanas. Even before that, moving just before the SGR down to General Motors is at a standstill, not moving, guys. So if you're there, be patient. You'll get out eventually. It's just that there's a lot of connections coming from the Eastern Bypass and joining Mombasa Road, and everybody seems to be out at the same time. All right, where else do we seem to have an issue? Westlands coming out, not so bad. Coming off of Langata Road, a little bit of a traffic jam here and there, but it's not too terrible. So apart from Thika Road, where we see all, as far back as Survey, where there is some traffic, it shouldn't be too bad to get around, guys. If it does get worse, let us know. Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. We're talking about the fight against corruption. New bill in Parliament, the Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, is seeking to amend various pieces of law. This particular one, I'm sticking by it and I'm liking it. The one that says, determine these cases within 2 years. Initially, we were talking about, yes, Chief Justice can create courts and appoint magistrates to deal with corruption cases, right? And that's why we have now the anti-corruption magistrates courts around the country. Now we are going further and saying that this matters shall be determined within 2 years from the date of filing of that case till conclusion, 2 years. Because initially we were saying, the magistrates shall hear this case on a day-to-day basis until conclusion.
We realize that it is going to require a monumental amount of change.
Yep.
At whatever level you're looking at it, from prosecution, defense, justice, judiciary, the office of the ODP, security agencies, corruption agencies, EACC, DCI. It's going to require change. Whereas the status quo has been for the longest time, all right, we're going to bring this particular piece of evidence, we're going to do this investigation, it's going to take us a number of months. So it is going to need expedition of a lot of these things, whether it is investigation, whether it is mentions, whatever it is, move it along.
Yep.
People, look, and as much as they say that they're interested in the wheels of justice moving a little bit faster, I think they had also taken on this nature of, all right, we'll example, get through it
the
eventually.
Judiciary has been complaining
but in this case,
that you bring in a case to court and you're saying that, we are holding this person. We've arrested Ndu this morning, 5 a.m. raid. We arrested her on Friday. She spent an entire weekend in police custody. We're bringing her to court on Monday. No, the other one, Nduko.
Oh, got it.
Not Nduoko. Nduko, all right? And then Nduko is taken to court on Monday and the police are asking for more time to investigate. So basically, they have not concluded the investigations, but they have rushed to arrest you. Or they have brought you to court and they are charging you, but then they're also saying, but also we are charging, we want her to take a plea, or we are bringing her in court for processing, but we still want some time. So here's the thing. This is going to affect them as well.
Yes, it is.
By the time you're bringing this case to court, be ready to start tomorrow.
And be sure of everything that you would have collected.
Be ready to start.
Yeah. Your evidence, because and this has been another thing that has delayed. I mean, just an example. What did we see of the Kidero case? When did this Kidero case go to court? We're going to 2 years now.
Yep.
Right? And everything halted for on the point of evidence and how they were then able to collect this evidence.
Case moves from one court to another court to a different application here, different application by.
Then there is an appeal, and then that is listened to, and then etc. etc. And all on the point of how do we collect this evidence? This evidence seems to be in existence. The manner in which we want to collect it, the law does not allow us to do that. Now, must we seek, allowance to be able to collect? Then finally it comes back. Then you can seek this allowance, and then the investigation continues. You can see why it takes 15 years. And this is what I'm saying. All of these things that you want to collect, by the time you're bringing somebody to answer a case, then it then requires for all of these institutions, all of these agencies, all of these offices to have their ducks in a row. And I think it's going to actually affect the way people do. I mean, clearly, it's not even that I think, it's obvious. It's going to affect the way people do work. So by the time you're bringing in a case forward, you should have all your information. You should be ready to go forward. And I know the rulings, it seems to me that the rulings that have been recently made from Justice Mumbi's court and such, it seems that they've already primed the ground for this bill then to take effect. Because then that means, if we're just looking at the example of the Kidero case and the evidence that they are now able to get, it means that in cases subsequent to, or cases after this, that will be it. That I don't have to ask you or seek special warrant then to look into your accounts, for example. Once a case like that comes up, I can go ahead and do this. We can see clearly.
You'll seek special warrant. You'll seek warrant from the court, but I don't need to notify you. That
they don't have to notify you that it's going to happen. I'm going to court tomorrow to seek
a warrant so that I can come and investigate your accounts.
Just know that I'm getting this warrant.
No, it's just that I have gotten the warrant. So here I am. I need your account details. I have the warrant.
And this is why I'm saying it seems that now these rulings have primed the ground for this bill to actually take place. And understanding now that these things are going to go a lot faster. Can you imagine how long it took for that ruling? I mean, we started hearing about this case, like I said, almost 2 years ago now.
It's a back and forth. It's also a serious dent to the defense, especially in corruption cases.
It is.
Because the defense teams are the ones that keep bringing up application after application in higher courts.
The defense teams had used
You've been
this.
charged in the magistrate's court. You go to the high court. You are challenging this, that, and the other aspect. And the case in the lower court cannot proceed because we're waiting for the determination in the high court. You lose there in the high court. You go to the court of appeal. Before that, the magistrate's court will not move because, stuff has been held pending. With a clear calendar of 2 years, it also means that you don't have much time to keep playing hanky-panky on a case. All right? And also the judges will know that, well, we have 2 years. Look at what has happened in terms of the speed with which we're now determining cases when it comes to electoral petitions. Electoral petitions before the new constitution came into effect, people were getting a ruling for an election petition 2 months to the next election. You lost an election, you file a petition in court. Over the next 5 years, your petition is still ongoing in court. 2 months into or some few months into the next general election is when you're getting victory. It doesn't make anything.
And your opponent or whomever the person is sitting in office has been in office for all that time. For the last 5 years.
The new law now basically says that electoral petitions must be determined within a certain time. That has sorted out very many things. People in a certain constituency don't need to worry. Okay, so is our MP going to stay in parliament for this time? Or is our MP going to lose their seat? It's very clear now. Within this time, file petition. If you don't file petition within a certain time barred, time for filing is gone. If the case, within this time, this case will be concluded, so even you know, I have so long to defend this case, or I have so long to prosecute this case, and it shall be over and dusted. Same thing I think I'm seeing happening in the cases of corruption cases. Taken to court today, and within 2 years, I'm either guilty or I'm innocent. Done.
All this would not have been happening if we had not tried to put into action our constitution as it currently is. Because you realize this thing sounds this way on paper, but putting it into practice is a different matter. Now, the amendments make it possible for the operationalization of some of these laws so that they actually achieve what
the spirit
was. Yes. It is in tandem with the spirit. So it actually ensures. For instance, there's a certain Kenya Anti-Corruption Advisory Board that they're going to scrap because they realize this thing that doesn't really do anything. No, not really. It doesn't help. It doesn't further the cause that the Anti-Corruption Commission is actually supposed to. Now, that would never have happened if the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission were not trying to actually do what it is that they're supposed to actually do. Because they've met with the resistance. There's no question about it. And they're still going to meet with the resistance.
Some of those things as well is removing checks and balances and accountability.
That is definitely...
board, for example, was bringing in people who are not in the security and investigation sector to oversee what's happening in the investigations of anti-corruption cases. Removing it, I have my issues. Let's hear from Lydia, who's calling in from Parklands. Lydia, good morning.
Good morning, Spice FM. Thank you for this important subject you brought up today.
Yep.
I would like to request Chief Justice Maraga, he should not be desperate to employ more judges. Now, we just heard in the news that recently that a court has to close down because of coronavirus. Now, are judges going to be important during coronavirus time when courts have to be closed? And before he thinks of employing more judges, he should do e-filing of all the court files. I heard he once said, when a file is brought out, when it goes back, it is lost. Now, what does that mean about our court? We can't get any help from them at all. I told you, I did a court case myself. Every time the case is adjourned, the advocate sends us a bill. Court is adjourned, the advocate sends us a bill. 500,000 shillings for just no work done. I took the bus and I went to Land Office. I got a letter from Land Office to tell the City Council, don't charge us rates as 3 properties when we are just 1 property. And I won the case, and that they made an error.
I'm not getting what you're saying. So, are you saying that we don't need more judges? Or
We don't need more judges virus time if courts are going to be closed because of them. And before more judges are employed, Chief Justice Maraga must do to get the files onto e-filing system, because we can't allow files to get lost. It can't help in cases if files get lost. So e-filing is a priority, not extra judges.
Okay. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lydia.
0719-012-600. What are you saying about the Anti-Corruption Advisory Board? That they want to scrap it.
They want to scrap it. You see, one of the things, remember when we began this discussion in the previous hour, I raised the question of the possibility of some of these things lending themselves to abuse. Now, I said one thing, and you brought in a very pertinent point. What if they're actually doing away with the watchdog?
Because this advisory board is formed under the Anti-Corruption Economic Crimes Act.
Yes, it is.
The Anti-Corruption Advisory Board comprises of the following members: the Law Society of Kenya, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, the Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Kenya, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, the Joint Forum of Religious Organizations, the Federation of Kenya Employers, the Kenya Bankers Association, COTU, Association of Professional Societies of East Africa, the Architectural Association of Kenya, the Institute of Engineers of Kenya, and the Kenya Medical Association. These are the members of the advisory board. Well, we can say, yes, there are many, there are 12. But in Sawa. You can see all these people are private sector. This is citizen parts. This is a citizen body.
In fact, the only organization that doesn't seem to be represented there is the Association of Witch Doctors of Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah, just that one, right?
So it's bringing all bodies here. What is the job or the functions of this board? The principal function of the advisory board is to advise the commission generally on the exercise of its powers and the performance of its functions under this act. The advisory board shall have such other functions as may be conferred by this act. The independence, this shall have a lot of independence. It shall have committees. The chairperson shall come from those members. The secretary is the director of the EACC, is the secretary to the advisory board. And the board is supposed to be sitting to basically look at how the Anti-Corruption Commission is working. Now, you tell me, we remove the citizen oversight of EACC. What are we saying? That this is no longer necessary? It's like saying, yes, I power the independent policing oversight authority, which looks at how the police service is working, and it is comprised of ordinary citizens.
If you remove it, you're essentially then saying that the subjects in that organization then are allowed to do as they please.
There's law, yes, but the oversight by some sort of oversight and advice.
There are checks and balances that are being put in place by this oversight authority. And once that authority or once that element or that board is removed, then that oversight role also is removed.
Where have we seen the functions of this oversight, and where have we seen the usefulness
of the oversight?
This particular oversight.
We know, for example,
we hear of, we have a clear idea of what they do, but this particular oversight committee.
Remember the appointment of EACC, especially that the EACC director, especially, let's say, after the constitution, how many EACC directors have we had? There's a gentleman who was in the audit firm who was removed after a short while. Some corruption allegation was brought against him. Members of parliament ganged up. He was basically just removed, and that's when now we have Talib Mbarak as the boss. This board sat and participated in the recruitment of the director. This board, it sits and it advises. So its job is not necessarily public, that it sits there and says, corruption should be fought. Its job is basically to look at the EACC director comes and reports and says, this is what we are doing. This is how we are going to fight corruption. And the members of the board are saying, all right, so our journey, our fight against corruption is going this way. They are also influential people in the society.
So essentially what you're saying is something that you had raised earlier on, that when they bring these sort of bills under one huge umbrella, it's very easy for something to be slipped in that doesn't seem...
Yes.
So this is one of those things that one could argue is being brought in. Essentially, you want to muzzle any internal oversight that the anti-corruption may actually have. And you remove the advisory, then...
You're basically saying that they operate. They say they have the act. They operate the way they want.
Supposedly within the
they'll only
law.
be reporting to Parliament.
Yeah.
And if Parliament is aligned with them and Parliament is aligned with the State House and State House has told them this is what we want to do, this is how they are going to do.
You have no external checks. So then who you have no external checks whatsoever. So if they present something in terms of how they have been operating, it is only them you will ask to be sure. You will not be able to ask anybody else whether this is actually the case.
I would have thought that the check and balance with the activities of the Anti-Corruption Commission is the office of the DPP.
The office of the DPP just receives the results.
Yes, but they are the ones who
DPP
determine whether this thing is prosecutable or not.
Yes, but you see, they don't determine how you've gone about your business of getting the evidence.
Very true. But
the operations and your strategy, the ODPP cannot come and order that your strategy now should be go for the big fish or go for the small fish or focus on this kind of crimes.
And can the advisory committee do that?
Yes, that's the advisory.
They can suggest.
That's the advisory.
They can advise
that's the
that
advice
you should
the
go in
board
this
gives.
direction.
Let's take this direction. Let's adopt this strategy. Remember, the strategy that EACC has been telling us that they have gone for is high impact. High impact cases. They determine high impact cases and they then sit with the board and the board is like, yeah. Let's go for high impact. We're looking for collectively, the board plus the commission itself, we're looking for winning the war against corruption. We are aligned in our thinking. ODPP does not direct the operations of the EACC.
No, they don't.
Can only instruct, please commence an investigation into this and that.
Very good.
Oversight. The omnibus bill always has something. It'll have some good things, and then at the same time,
they'll sneak in something.
There's a risk of sneaking in something that you're like, but what is the reasoning behind this? I'm not sure, but I'm just thinking. Immediately, I've heard about the board and thinking, wait, if I remember correctly, the idea behind the board was to have some civilian oversight, some civilian advisory, some civilian participation in how this thing is working. It's the same way we said we have some civilian participation in how the police service works. The chairman of the Police Service Commission is not a police officer. It's a civilian.
So
on how the police service works.
Instead of disbanding it, perhaps they ought to have given this advisory board more powers.
Yeah. Or perhaps just review. So what's not working? If it's not working, let's tweak. If it's too many members who are never there, so quorum is never met because we have 11 people who are representing various organizations, reduce. Say it's rotational. Say if CAM is in this board for 2 years, then the next 2 years after that, CAM is not in the board, we're bringing another organization.
Okay. Well, I didn't hear the church. Are they also represented?
Yes, religious organizations.
Religious organizations.
Okay.
Umbrella religious organizations. They're there.
Okay.
And they comprise very many people, okay? You want me to tell you? The Joint Forum of Religious Organizations is the seat, and those are the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, the Episcopal Conference, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, the Evangelical Fellowship of Kenya, the Hindu Council of Kenya. Umesikia?
Nimesikia vizuri sana.
This is it. The war against corruption makes a step. Let's hope that everything that's contained here will actually allow the EACC, the DCI, the ODPP, everybody who's involved, even the intelligence agencies, to work better and be able to deliver on this. For me, once again, the big win, 2 years.
Yeah, I seem to like that.
2 years.
That has been...
Case is brought before court, and within 2 years, we are concluding this case. Now, Chief Justice can go and say, all right, I don't have capacity. I need to increase the number of courts that I have. Fine. Deal with that with your internal organs, the Judicial Service Commission, recruit more, go to Parliament, lobby for more funds. Fine.
I think so. I think that one of the issues that has been, I mean, as we round this down, one of the issues that has been is that it has taken so much time, and within that time, then a lot of people have found loopholes that they can use to their benefit. Unfortunately, if the evidence is watertight, if there's a case to be heard, if public funds have been stolen, etc., then there really shouldn't be no reason why it should go over this time. And because now it is be in law, it's likely to see that we have a lot more, and hopefully public funds that have been removed going back to be used for the public.
We're coming to the top of the hour. This is a situation room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Today's Proverb City. This is from the Ma community.
All right. He who is unable to dance says the yard is stony. The question is, he who is actually...
Sometimes it's true.
And what about someone who's actually able to dance? What does he say?
It's not stony now.
Someone who's able to dance?
You're not thinking about the ground.
They talk about their own prowess. I'm good at this. Someone who's unable to dance, maybe they have a point. That section of the yard where they were trying to jump was actually stony.
So if you move them to the part that was not stony, would they be able to dance?
Maybe.
We don't know.
Okay. Or they may have other challenges. They just want to use stone as a challenge, but they have other challenges. Listen to them. Don't just dismiss them.
Okay, I like the underdog status you're taking today.
Hey, good morning. It's now 9 o'clock. This is a Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, Mombasa Road near Cabana, slow but moving. It's moving a little bit better than it was a while ago. But hey, Langata Road is even worse right now. Between the bypass and the barracks, the road has become unpredictable. People are not able to move. You made a split-second decision to stay in the house just a minute longer. You're stuck in some traffic that's taking you all the way from the turnoff from Rongai all the way down to the Timor roundabout, and that's what we see right about 9 o'clock, hoping that opens up as soon as possible. So Mombasa Road and Langata Road are giving us some problems today. Thika Road is not looking so bad, getting into the CBD, coming from the Pangani underpass to be able to get out of that as quickly as possible. So that's what we see as in terms of what's happening with traffic right now. We'll see if it opens up in a bit in those particular areas. Spice FMKE. Not to forget, that's how you can reach us on Twitter. Let us know what you see.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths,
we bring the conversation
debates,
back to
and
social protection. COVID-19 has come. COVID-19 has forced us to change very many things that we were doing. Physical distancing means something. Working from home means something. Avoiding physical contact with people means something. Avoiding traveling from one area to another means something. Basically, the effect of that is what we are seeing now. Livelihoods have been shattered. People have lost their jobs. Companies that were once operating and thriving and priming themselves to make good business this year were basically just told, shut down. We're talking about the hospitality industry. We're talking about the horticulture industry, the floriculture industry, many other industries, the entire tourism sector. Many businesses that were operating, in that ecosystem have also been affected. Entertainment sector. the bars, pubs, and restaurants. You're talking about branding and marketing companies. We're talking about many organizations, and we have seen layoffs and layoffs and layoffs, people losing jobs, people who are reporting that they have been told by their company that now we can only afford to pay you a partial salary, people who have been told to go on unpaid leave by the organizations. Yes, you still have a guarantee of getting a job, but during your period of being on leave, we are not going to be able to pay you. All this has happened. And the results of that are what we have seen from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, other polls conducted by Infotrack and others that are showing that people are now unable to meet the basic needs. Basic needs are 3: food, shelter, and clothing. Number 1, food, not able to feed your family. Shelter, not able to pay rent, means you cannot afford shelter. Therefore, obviously, clothing is also affected. So there's a lot of this, and we were discussing this yesterday and looking at, yes, what is it that the government can do? What has the government done? Has what the government done really looked at the plight of the person who's directly vulnerable and gone to them directly? Or is it trying to trickle down the impact or the effects of what it's doing by saying, if I allow the big companies to have more cash in their pockets, then that cash is going to end up in the pockets of their employees and the people who depend on them? The effect of that, the speed of that, many of the things that the president announced in the stimulus package were actually things that required to be passed by parliament. They were contained in the budget that was read by Ukur Yatani the other day. They are therefore for the next financial year, which begins next week, the first week of July, and they still need to await parliamentary approval. Parliament has to pass the appropriations bill for the treasury to be able to dip its hand in this jar and be able to remove money and bring it to the sectors that are supposed to benefit the people. We're talking about 2020 going. In the meantime, as soon as COVID was announced in the country, people started suffering. People are not eating today.
I think, unfortunately, what happened is that, this rescue plan was dressed as a rescue plan, but in the reality of it, it hasn't really helped people. And just coming from, you asked the question whether the government really understood what people would go through, and how really they were affected. Because by the time you're looking at a solution for something, you must have understood the problem, right? And it would seem as if maybe if we reduce some taxes here or there, people would actually be helped. But that's not the case. Is that people didn't have what was in their hand to help them feed today. People didn't have what was in their hand to help them pay rent this month, to help them buy fuel. And I'm not talking about fuel for your car. I'm talking about fuel for light fuel to cook, right? So people didn't have that. And I don't think there was a grasp with reality that it was going to get as bad as it actually has. Because we could sit in glass houses and pretend as if it's not bad, that all right, people are going to be able to get by, right? But the truth of the matter is that people are not getting by. And if you don't understand the gravity of the situation, then it is very easy for you to then present a solution that is dressed as a solution. But if you look beyond the beautiful clothing, you're looking at a skeleton. And that's what we have right now. That stimulus package is not helping anybody right now. The truth of the fact is that people are not able to pay their rent. People's livelihoods that they would have depended on previously actually are non-existent. That's the reality. So this solution should have been tailored towards that reality. The solution was tailored towards something that sounded like the problem, but in reality, it was not. And there's no simpler way to say it apart from the fact that 1 month, people had food and they had an option for which to get food for the next month. In a matter of days, that changed. And it should have sounded warning bells for quite a number of things. That something should not be able to make its way into a country and topple the livelihoods of people so instantly. Fast. So that means that there were certain things that should have been put in place as markers, as girders for the microeconomy of people, and that was not in place. Should have shown, all right, so let's go beyond that. Now, in an emergency situation, what are you then going to do to help this? And it was clear that even setting up of an emergency help was not possible. And possible not because the elements or factors that you needed to put in place were non-existent. It just meant that you had not thought about the solution properly. We have people who are giving cash, and guess what? It solves the problem instantly. Right there. My problem is not telling me about a stimulus plan, a package that's going to help me for tomorrow. My problem is feeding my family today. My problem is finding something that I can do tomorrow to feed my family for the next day. And that is actually what works right now. And that is, I think, what needed to have been done. It's nice to put policies in place for the long term, but you have a majority of a population that is suffering now.
That will require immediate assistance.
And
also
that is what
looking
the
at
answer
the
should have
coordination between the national government and the county governments. Because the national government could have said, yes, this is what we are doing. And we have a number of, X number of people who are already in the Inua Jamii program, the elderly and the severely handicapped. And we're able to therefore send money to them because you've been sending money to them every year anyway. And then there's this small population of 100 and something people, 1,000 people, who are going to receive 2,000 shillings stipend every month from the government. But they see that covers a very small population. The county governments as well needed to have set up places and mechanisms to see how they can impact their most vulnerable as well. Look at an industry like fishing, and we're going to Kilifi now to speak to some fishermen and people who depended on fishing. Immediately they were told COVID-19 is here, we're going to stop doing very many things. Fishermen also told, stop going for fishing. Okay? So immediately after that, people who are wavuvi in Pwani are now not able to go and vua samaki. It means that people who they were bringing the fish to in the markets, who are now the fish traders in the market, are also not able to run their businesses. Let's speak to some of them. And this, we are now joined by a mzee called Daniel Mugandi. He's a mzee from Mawamba A in Kilifi County. Mzee Mugandi, hujambo?
Hujambo.
Hello?
Halo, kusikia?
Habari za asubuhi mzee Mugandi.
Mimi namshukuru Mungu nimeamka vyema.
Asante. Sasa mzee, hebu tueleze wewe unafanya kazi gani hapo Mawamba A? Na Mawamba A iko katika constituency gani?
Mimi ni mtu hapa.
Kilifi County.
Yeah, Kilifi County.
Sasa wafanya kazi gani?
Mimi kazi yangu ni shambani na kununua matunda hivi nikienda Kongowea na marikiti. Yeah. Ndio kazi yangu.
Na kabla ya COVID?
Kabla ya COVID nilikuwa naishi vizuri, maana nilikuwa napata riziki yangu, lakini kutoka ianze mpaka sasa sitoki, maana tumefungiwa bridge ya kupita mtu yoyote.
Naam. Sasa unafanya wasema wewe kazi yako sasa ni ukulima na uvuvi je?
Uvuvi ni ndugu zangu ndio wanafanya hiyo ya uvuvi, lakini nao pia wamefungiwa kwa kupitiki, maana wanavua pande hiyo ya Nyeri.
Sasa hawaruhusiwi kuvuka upande wa Nyeri kwenda Mombasa.
Hawaruhusiwi kabisa.
Sasa wanafanya nini sasa wakati huu?
Huku sasa ni kale ulipokuwa nako, kama ulikuwa na pakupikako umeuza, kama ulikuwa na kambuzi umeuza, sasa hatujui tena la kufanya ni gani. Maana sasa hiyo ndio ilikuwa sababu tulikuwa nayo. Ni wale ambao walikuwa tunasema mimi nilikuwa naenda Kongowea na marikiti, hiyo kazi walinikuda mpaka sasa sijui tena hivi.
Na sasa kazi ambayo sasa unafanya, tumesikia kwamba watu kama wenzako kijijini Mawamba wanasema kwamba sasa riziki hawezi kupata riziki kwa kila siku.
Ndio.
Mnapata usaidizi wowote kutoka kwa serikali kuu ama serikali ya county?
Hapa kwa uhakika sijapata. Hapa tuliambiwa tu niandike majina, sababu mimi ndio kama mzee Mbanguni hapa, nimeandika majina nikapeleka, sijaona matokeo mpaka dakika hii.
Nani aliwaambia muandike majina?
Mimi nimetoa ripoti na mzee wangu wa mtaa. Kashinda na hiyo kazi, majina yote, ngoja matokeo mpaka sasa sijajibiwa. Nakuja tu nikichukuliwa na kuulizwa tuandika majina na sioni lolote. Sasa hata karibu nipige mimi hapa.
Alivyomwambia muandike majina.
Naam.
Ilikuwa muandike majina alafu nini kitendeke?
Tuliambiwa kutalipwa msaada huu kwamba tupewe kitu cha kwamba wakati tuko na lockdown tuwe tunajisikia mpaka kutakapo. Sijapata lolote tunaishi na shida.
Alafu mzee ulikuwa unasema pia hapo karibu na wewe kuna mama ambaye anaitwa mama Mwanaisha.
Niko karibu na yeye.
Hebu tuzungumze na Mwanaisha tafadhali.
Hello?
Mwanaisha ujambo?
Sina neno siwezi.
Sisi pia tuko salama hapa Spice FM. Sasa Mwanaisha, wewe wafanya kazi gani hapo Mawamba A?
Mimi kazi yangu wako ni biashara ya kuuza samaki.
Kuuza samaki?
Ndio.
Unapata wapi samaki?
Nilikuwa nikichukua kwa Kamburi Beach.
Sasa bado unaendelea na hiyo biashara?
Kusema kweli, sasa hakuna biashara inafanyika. Hakuna mahali tuafikia ili tufike twende kwa Bamburi Beach.
Kwa hivyo hampati samaki?
Hatupati. Maana tutapita na watu. Na chanzo ndio problem. Watu wa Mtwapa, watu wa Kilifi County hapo chanzo ndio block ya Mombasa County.
Sasa mwafanya nini sasa kwa kila siku ambapo kama hauna samaki wa kuuza sasa kunapokucha kila siku unafanya nini hadi jioni?
Unapokuta alikuwa tukizunguka kama shamba yenyewe, tuangalie wale wako na uwezo wao na tupatia kazi, tunawalimia ndio tunapata riziki kidogo kwa ajili wafungiwa kupata vile faida tunaweza. Tukala hizo faida mpaka mwisho tukaingilia hiyo mali. Pia tukaikula.
Kazi ya kibarua kwa kila siku.
Sasa ni tupate kibarua, tufanye ndio tupate riziki na kwa tutafaidia watoto kwa nyumba.
Unapata kibarua kila siku?
Uongo. Kila siku.
Kama mara ngapi kwa wiki?
Hata zapata kama mara 2.
Unalipa pesa ngapi?
Yategemea na ndio utapawa kwa sasa ulime.
Kwa hivyo kama pesa ngapi hivi?
Huko barua za shambani huo natanyajiwa step 10 kwa shilingi 100.
Kwa hivyo tunaweza sema unapata kama shilingi 200 hivi kwa wiki. 200-400. Na siku zako za kuuza samaki ulikuwa unatengeneza kama pesa ngapi kwa siku? Faida yako?
Kila siku faida yangu hapo naweza pata 350-400.
Kwa hivyo kwa wiki uko na zaidi ya shilingi 2000 kwa wiki kwa biashara ya samaki. Na sasa kwa wiki kwa kufanya kazi ya biashara ya kulima, kibarua cha kulima, sasa unapata kama shilingi 400 kwa wiki.
Kama 400 au tegemea na nguvu yako vile kulima kwa shamba ndio utapata kitu kidogo. Na ujue nikitoka hapo mimi na sababu ni pesa ya chakula tena na nyumba.
Sawa, Mwanaisha, tumeshukuru sana kwa kuzungumza nawe. Tukutakia kila laheri. Msalimia pia mzee Mugandi, mwambie asante sana kwa kuzungumza na sisi hapa.
Inshallah, asante kwa kila laheri.
Yeah.
Kwenye kazi yetu.
Asante. Let's also now cross over to Stephen in Mombasa. Stephen, good morning.
Morning to you, my brother. How are you?
We're well, thank you. You've just heard from those two people in the village of Mawamba A in Kilifi.
Yeah.
What did you say? Is this a widespread issue, for example, with the fisher communities in the coast?
You see, my brother, it's not about the community, or the community are the way our community are designed. We are designed to be our brother's keeper. Well, what we miss in Kenya, specifically most parts of Mombasa, or you go to Mabay or wherever, is that there are no good policies. I mean, do we really have good policy makers in this country? People who can come up with policies that are benefiting the common man on the ground. You look before COVID-19 thing. We make a lot of noise and ask the government not to allow the flights to come to Kenya. Do we knew that we will suffer if this will come to the country? What they tell us, they allowed the flights to come. They even arrested the guy, the whistleblower at the airport. Now, we knew that if this case come to Kenya, we will really suffer. They allow it to come. They block the country without thinking about us. They have only told us, we are blocking the country so that this thing does not spread. But you don't come up with a policy to allow us to how we are going to get our daily bread.
So, Stephen, now here we are. There are many people who are complaining about being able to earn a daily wage or daily living for sustenance. What is your experience personally, Stephen?
My experience is it's not that easy because you have kids, you are locked in the house, or maybe where you are working, you are given half of the salary, and the salary doesn't even pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you manage to feed the family and pay rent at the end of the day?
Okay.
You need to buy even a shop. Not that easy. So what is the government doing to come up with the policy to ensure that even these little things that I'm getting can sustain me with the family? Or it's only for them up there. We see them take loans. Loans have been taken. The EU gave us loans. Can the government tell the people of Kenya, because you are paying for this loan, can they come up with a good, clear indicator? This is what you are doing with your loan, because you're going to pay for it.
Stephen, I don't think the problem is at the policy level. I think we've come to the understanding several times that when it comes to policy making, they're actually those who are doing a stellar job to make sure that these policies are in place. Now, we must understand that in the policy making process, the process doesn't stop with the completion of the policy itself. The process stops all the way at the implementation level. That's when you can say policy making until the end of the process has actually taken place. Now, unfortunately, in the policy making process, when it's put down in terms of how things should run, that is done beautifully well. We've had many countries who've come to Kenya, for example, to benchmark and to say, okay, well, or we've even had Kenyans go to different parts of the world and actually put together policies for other countries. So we don't really have a problem with that. But in the process of implementation of the policies where we see the problem in many cases. And this is actually leading to where we are today. Now, you can imagine if there were policies in place that would get things done in the manner in which they were designed from the very beginning. I dare say that even with something like COVID, we would not have felt the hit as hard as we are feeling it today. Look at countries in other parts of the world whereby they had policies that were created and implemented to the point that when you see that your budget, for example, or your economy has taken a hit or a shock, they were able to sit within a day and actually change their budget around to make sure that people could actually be buffered against the effects of COVID, for example. The only reason they were able to do that is because they implemented certain things along the line so that should something come that was essentially going to shake your foundation, it wouldn't break apart and that you could do something quickly with what you had available. And that's what the policy making process is. It's not about putting something on paper, but it's actually seeing that it works and you actually practice it and it is actually implemented. This is the problem. The implementation here is an issue. So when we're talking about people are suffering, fishermen can no longer fish because we've asked them to stop their work because of COVID. It means that any policy that you would have put in place would then have given them an option of what they could do until things get back to normal. This is where we have a problem.
Yeah. You see, let me ask you.
Stephen, thank you very much for calling this morning. Thank you. And I think we've lost him. 0719-012-600 is the number to call this morning and participate in this conversation. What's happening in your neck of the woods in terms of your personal experience and the experience of those around you, those that you've seen, your neighbors, your family members in these COVID times? The InfoTrack poll was actually titled what?
We can't breathe.
Can't breathe.
Yeah.
We can't breathe. That's what Kenyans are saying. We can't breathe. There's a lot that's happening. We can't breathe. We are feeling completely frustrated. Over 80% of people saying that they are completely frustrated, don't know what else to do, what next to do. This is what we want to find out today. We're conducting this our own poll and having the conversation. What is happening on the ground? Good morning. This is a Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation, 22 after 9.
The weather in Nairobi is a little bit sunshine today, and that means that we'll see mostly cloudy conditions for most parts of the day. The likelihood of rain will be later on, highs of 23. Taking a look then into Nyeri, where partly cloudy conditions will give way to rain later on, with highs of 22. Nakuru is likely to be a wet afternoon, with highs of 23. Eldoret this morning, where it's mostly sunny, that is going to change later, with highs of 21. The rains will check in quite early. In Kisumu, it's mostly cloudy this morning at 21. We'll see highs of 28 with showers later on. Kakamega will follow in fine form with rains later, highs of 25. Looking at Malindi, where it's mostly cloudy now, showers come in the afternoon with highs of 27. Mombasa also will be the same, where it's very cloudy this morning, showers expected to come in then with highs of 28. In Kampala, it's partly cloudy. It'll change to thunderstorms with highs of 25. The forecast for Dar es Salaam this afternoon is partly cloudy conditions throughout, with highs of 29 and lows of 23. Taking a look then into Johannesburg, where it's mostly sunny at 7 degrees, highs of 18 and lows of 2, and those sunny conditions will last through the day. Taking a look then into Lagos, where it's clear skies at 25 degrees, highs of 30, with thunderstorms going well into Thursday. All right, let's take a quick look into Paris, where it's sunny conditions at 21, well smack in the middle of summer, highs of 33 today and lows of 19. London promises to be a clear sky day, highs of 31 and lows of 18 as well. It's early Wednesday morning in New York at 24 degrees. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 21.
We can't breathe. That's what Kenyans have said in the various polls that have been conducted. Livelihoods affected, CG.
You know what is of interest is that research has been conducted in Kenya regarding what we call cash transfers, direct cash transfers. I'm going to refer to one specific one. It's called Give Directly. It was a project that was sponsored by the University of California, Berkeley. Now, one of the things that they did, they decided to give 65,000 Kenyans, randomly chosen, a one-time grant of up to $1,000. This is almost 100,000 shillings. And then they came back after a year to determine, just to see. What was absolutely surprising was that literally every family, it was a family, had managed that money to meet their needs and to plan their lives in such a way that they were now self-sufficient and they had put in place things that could actually keep them sustained.
What did they do? Open up businesses?
Some started planting trees. Some already had some small business. They expanded the business. Some used the money to take their children to school. But what the levels of poverty that they had were no longer the case. They were no longer seeking external help.
So these were grants, basically.
They gave you the money.
Free money.
And they did not tell you what to do with it. No, they didn't say you must follow this. You decided what you are doing with the money.
Was there a second group that was treated differently?
No.
For comparative purposes?
No. So they just wanted to see, because there had been this notion, this is where they came from, that people, if given money, will not necessarily use it well. That was the general notion, that they needed to be told how to, they need to be guided. They said, no. Just give them the money and let them decide what they want to do with it. And the results were...
So what does that tell us?
Pleasantly, it tells us that it is okay to give people food. It is better to give them money. Give them that money directly. Let them decide what they want to do with that money. They'll, of course, feed themselves, but they'll do other things as well.
They'll also do others.
They'll do other things with it.
Solomon in Mombasa, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How is everyone?
We are well, thank you, Solomon.
Okay. So my opinion on this is this crisis has been the worst. But when it comes to some social aspect, it has been the best for this country.
Why?
One, since I got married, the 3 months I've never spent with my family, the longest time compared to the 3 months I've been at home or working from home. So you get to know the people who you are living with. If kanyi ni wakukosana, mtakosana. So it builds our family unity. So it has enhanced that. So that's why you're finding some domestic violence, those issues, because those people, these are being hidden.
Okay. So in the 3 months that you're able to spend time with your family, what were you?
I've never spent like
in this. Yes, were you working from home or?
Yes, I was working from home.
So you were still able to earn your salary.
Yes. No. We got a deduction, so at least so that at least some of the employees may not lose their employment.
Okay. What impact has that had on you?
Then secondly, that is what I was going to. People now have realized you need to save for a rainy day. A lot of people used to make maybe 10,000, 3,000, 1,000 every day, but they consume it 90% of it.
Yeah.
Let me go to the slum. Someone can earn 500 shillings. You drink 200. You take home 300. I don't know, some chamas even. So you don't have that a trend of saving, because you know tomorrow will take care of itself. Now people have learned that you need to save for a rainy day. Anything can happen at once.
So that's a lesson that you've picked out of this.
Yeah, and your employer can wake up today and tell you to go home because there is no work and you're redundant at the moment.
Okay.
There is nothing you can do.
Okay.
Yes. Secondly,
that is third.
When it comes to our children,
how many seconds do you have, Solomon?
A and B.
Okay.
When it comes to, for the ones who are parents, most of us parents, what we do, we dump kids to school. We expect teachers to emulate morals and behavior and everything. For the 3 months parents have to deal with their children, that's why you find all these pregnancies all over. So you need to know your surrounding and people who you live with.
Okay.
So it has been a lesson to us, because you see, when all these pregnancies come and these kids have children, it's a cost to the parents of the girl, mostly.
Thank you, Solomon. Brian in Nakuru, good morning.
Good morning, Space FM.
Good
morning. How are you, Brian?
Yeah, I was also saying.
Yes.
Mufanyanga job event, so weddings and stuff like the burials and vitu. So I work with tents, and this job inahitaji kwa ground ndo job ifanyike. And the 90 days we have not been working. We don't have money, we don't have anything, we've been closing ourselves, we don't make ni madeni tu kwa duka. Landlord ndo yeye anakukimbiza, and you're trying, tunasikia tunaambiwa they want to give us a stimulus package. We don't see anything. How can guys like us be helped? Mwenye tuendangi kazi, how can cash reach us? Tukiambiwa kazi kwa mtaani, we go for the NYS thing. Here they are taking us, they are paying us 600 shillings a day. I can't refuse. But the 600 shillings again, they are paying you with regulation and restriction. Guys are stealing. Guys, your local leader wants to take some cash from you, still from the ground.
Have you participated in this, Brian? Have you gone to the Kazi Mtaani for Kazi Mtaani project?
Yeah, I've gone with the Kazi Mtaani here in Kaptembwa.
What were you required to do?
Okay, you just submit your ID. They are taking everyone. You just submit your ID, your name, and you're taken.
Right.
And you work for 600 shillings a day. And then you are paid at the end of the week. But before the money is being paid, it has to pass through someone else. So that another person the person who was writing the list has first of all to cut his cash before the cash comes to you directly.
How much?
we used to get going at around 3,000 a week, 3,000 a week or 20, around there.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you should have been getting 600 a day, so per week you should have been getting 3,000. You didn't get the 3,000 from this project.
Yeah, okay. Per week we are meant to get around 35, but with the cut, the cut there, things used to get around 27 or around there, 27 or 3,000. It depends.
So it's cut by
yes.
somebody.
Yeah.
So the person who's given you the job takes their cut, basically.
Yeah, they take their cut first before they sort you out. And again, the work, because we are a lot of people, they have to sort of like, it's about like there is hierarchy. Those people came first who knows higher people than you, they'll be sort first before you. And then you're told, okay, you go home, we'll send you the money. You can go at home, you stay at around after about a week. They pay you after a week, after delayed.
Challenges upon challenges. Thank you very much, Brian. Let's hear from Martin in Kisumu. Martin, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're well, thank you.
Things have been very bad.
What do you do, Martin?
I'm a teacher still at a private school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since schools were closed, has the private school been able to pay you a salary?
It was not impossible for them due to their weak financial, muscle. So since then, we've not been getting anything. Which to us is also understanding because where we are working.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been very, very tough.
So how do you get by, Martin?
So you just concentrate on farming. But unfortunately, you realize that I'm coming from Kano, in Kisumu. There was a lot of rain, destroyed the crops. Then, of course, I told you about the unforgetting and unforgiving lake that is sweeping the rice at the Kano West irrigation scheme. So even crops are not doing well, the rice and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Martin, thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
And we wish you all the best. Joseph in Kitale, good morning.
Hi, morning, guys.
Good morning.
I would like to contribute to the conversation.
Go ahead, Joseph.
For us in Kitale, it has not been good at all. Because, for instance, right now we have prison guards all over the place. And as you know, Kitale is 90% of the youth here use borders to ferry people to town. Now, if you pay these guys 50 shillings to town, and then when they get to a certain junction here, they get the prison guards, and then they ask for 2,000 shillings. Maybe even the border is taken. These borders are on loan.
So what are the prison guards doing on the road? So prison guards have erected roadblocks.
Yeah, we are even wondering what is their purpose on the roads, because we are supposed to be afraid of the disease, not the police.
And they are stopping the border people and demanding some bribe.
Yeah, so some money so that you can go to town.
Okay.
Yeah, because now if this youth, 90% of the youth here, ferry people using borders. We don't have town service matatus here. So if this person gets 30 shillings per trip, then you take their border and then you ask them to pay you 2,000 shillings. I mean, who has the money to keep giving people?
What I'm wondering, what are prison officers doing erecting roadblocks? Don't you have police?
We are wondering the same thing. The police here, they are doing their job, manning the traffic. But now the prison guards are taking advantage of the situation.
So they are acting like policemen.
Yeah.
What's a nearby?
They're on payroll. These people are trying to hustle every day, and the police are on payroll. Why are they harassing the other people?
What's a nearby prison?
Kitale Main.
On the roads that they have erected this, is it a road along the prison
No.
line?
Actually, it's a bit outside town. On your way to the general hospital. And then again, I would like to ask you guys: is this disease airborne? Because if I'm sitting alone somewhere with a proximity of 100 meters people away from me, why should I be coerced to wear a mask?
It's a good question.
It's a very good question, actually.
If it is airborne, then we should all wear a mask. But if it is not, I should not be harassed by the police every time to come and wherever they come. Because if I operate a business and I see a customer approaching, I wear my mask.
So what I'm hearing you say, Joseph, is that there's a lot of harassment by authorities.
There's a lot of harassment.
And there's dwindling business, and in that dwindling business, there's also extortion. And therefore, your daily income is therefore reduced.
Because for me, I used to operate a small hotel, but we had to close down when we were stopped from cooking. And then business has not been normal from then because we have to pay the rent. You're not getting the money to pay the rent.
Yeah.
So we decided to close down for a while until we see what turns to what. Okay. But now my main clientele was the boda people. But now if they cannot be able to ferry people to the town, then you don't have any business because they cannot eat and then take home nothing home.
Yeah, that's very true. Joseph, thank you very much for sharing your story, and say hello to everybody else in Kitale.
Okay, you too. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay. The Situation Room is Kenya's biggest conversation. We want to know your experience wherever you are. Polls are indicating that, people from wherever they are, they're frustrated, they're suffering, they've lost incomes, they've lost livelihoods, they're trying to eke out a living. It's becoming very difficult. What is your personal experience? 0719-012-600. And then, what is it that we can do or what should be done? Good morning.
All right, looking a lot better on Mombasa Road this morning. Still a hold-up right between the SGR and the Cabanas area, but it'll open up in a bit from all indications. Looking much better on Thika Road as well. It has opened up in many places, guys. That means that guys have gotten where they're going, so we're not going to have many traffic issues. 'Tis the time, 'tis the hour. We expect this to be the case right now. So, unless there are any incidents or accidents, do have yourselves a safe day.
Traffic.
From Nakuru to Kisumu to Kilifi to Kwale, such a jump, right? Even in Nairobi, in Maradaima, it's the same case. For example, let's hear from Dominic. Hi, Dominic. Dominic is doing okay.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Dominic and I know, okay, what's that? So we wanted to hear from Dominic here.
Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
When you hear from people, sometimes you expect that you would hear divergent views, that, this is what's going on with me, it's a totally different situation. But here, the meat of all of these seem to be the same thing, appears to be the same, that it was one way, and then now we're not able to do it. Until the options that look at it. This is what we're talking about in terms of solutions, then not being tailored to the problem. All right, now, Kazi wa Vijana, that's what it's called, right? What people...
Kazi Mtaani.
Kazi Mtaani is what people should be able to do. And then even that solution, whereby you should be able to put money into your pocket, somebody is putting some into theirs before it gets to you.
How do you expect that person to eat? No,
they have a job, they've been hired by the government now, but because of the fact that they've been put in this position, they also want to skim some before they give you the rest. And then even that for which you have worked, you are going to be made to wait a little bit longer to get it. And that's a solution that is coming from the government. I'm not saying that it is the executive's problem because they have some weird apples in the bunch. Because obviously, this is the problem.
By the way, if we just looked at it and critically and objectively looked at it, this is an opportunity for somebody to earn 3,500 or 3,600 shillings
in a week.
Yes. All right. And this is cash coming directly from the government. This is cash transfer, City.
This is good.
The only thing that you're saying here is instead of just sending money just like that, let's engage you.
Do some work.
So that you also don't just sit at home and feeling like you don't have anything that you can contribute to the community.
For sure.
Come, do some work, and then you'll get 3,600 shillings at the end of every week. That is some good money. That's some good money, objectively. It comes down to the implementation of it. Who are these people who are going to be identified? How is the money going to be sent to you? Are you going to ensure that this person actually makes the money? Are you going to also have some ghost workers who have come in and you have listed in that name?
Do you have unscrupulous fellows who are going to try to take some off the top?
There are 50 people who worked here, yet there are 10.
You asked that question about Kenyans. I mean,
just ask
it
now,
isn't a pleasant
so that
testimony,
you can know.
but
it's the reality.
If you want to know how bizarre it is, prison officers
setting up roadblocks.
We don't have prisoners.
You don't have prisoners to be taken care of.
In Kitale.
We should be able
that
to
should be doing their job.
To Natembea about this.
Come on.
I have a feeling that they cannot just be there. First of all, prison officers cannot just get out of the prisons without
and be on the road.
Yes, without their senior warden knowing. So this is clear structure. Probably if we spoke to Natembea, he tell us, I have a shortage of officers. So therefore, in that area, because I'm seeing that this is what we need to do.
And all they do is just sit in prison.
I've requested my colleagues in the prison to give us some officers so they can man this roadblock, and they have clear protocols of what they're supposed to do. However, the prison officers are like, hey, this is the opportunity
to eat.
And clearly they don't seem to understand that bribery for public transportation is not in such large amounts.
I mean, how much are you going to get?
They don't have much time, City. They don't know for how long they'll be.
You want to take the money for the future.
Yes.
As in, this thing may not be here tomorrow. Let's take it while we can.
50 bob and 100 bob. No.
Past, present, and future.
2000. Because he may be called back to his normal prison duties tomorrow.
He'll not have this opportunity again. The worst part is that now the affected people have nowhere to report to.
Who are you going to go and tell?
They feel helpless. Because ideally, you should be able to go to the nearest police station and say, come on, these guys here are demanding. You go and tell the police that these guys are demanding, the police will know, so these guys are making that kind of money. They go to the prisons and say, you guys, can you give us a cut? Or we report
so now your money becomes 2,000.
Yes.
Now you see, you took yourself, good Lord, it's pathetic. You took yourself to report and they say, there's money somewhere. Okay. You were complaining because you were getting 2,700.
Tomorrow
now the money will be 2,000.
They demand 2,500.
So now you keep quiet.
And your police will go.
That's so sad. So even the solution that has been preferred, even that one has holes in it. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a problem. So now, should all of these things have been checked? Absolutely. Does it seem like a lot of work to do? Perhaps. Should it be done? 100%. Because if at the end of the day, it is the protectionism of the people that you're looking after, then yes, all of these things should be done. Because you see that there were problems before, look onto them. Look onto them and sort them out. Would you have guessed, okay, you would have imagined that perhaps there was an issue, but would you have guessed that there are actually people who go towards this Kaziwa Vijana, what did you call it?
Kazim Tani.
Kazim Tani. And they get the job and they say, okay, this is actually rolling out. It's beautiful. People can go, you just put your ID, you get the work, then you get...
I've had testimonies, yes, of this is actually happening. Remember,
by the way,
money is being taken off the top.
It's you who's getting shocked.
I'm actually,
it's standard operations in such.
What is upsetting me is that I'm actually not surprised that this is going on.
Yeah,
that's what's upsetting me. That I'm telling myself, actually, you know what? I kind of expected something like this. That's what's upsetting me. That's what's shocking me. That even as I sit here,
you're trying to rationalize at the back of your mind.
I'm like,
so if you're getting 3,000 and not 3,600,
so it's not so bad, right? It's better than nothing. Isn't it pathetic?
I asked a colleague of mine who lives in Kibera, and asked him, this thing, the food handouts that we hear of, have you received? He said, I have received it once. I told you this story.
Yeah.
But it's somebody I know. Said, okay. I said, no. But he said, what we hear is that he said it comes down to maybe the village elder and what have you. He said, what we've seen is that when someone who is supposed to be a conduit to give it to, because the idea is to give it to someone who has some position in the community that he can roll it out. Said, if you go to their houses, you will find bales and bales of...
There's a room, they've actually vacated one room.
To keep storage.
Keep storage for food.
Food. That's theirs. Then their relatives also receive.
Yep.
And their friends also receive.
I'm sorry, it reminds me of the weddings you have where they have that one auntie who keeps the meat in the bucket somewhere. Then you have to go and see that auntie if you need extra meat. Okay, sorry, carry on.
This happens a lot. Anthony, in Mombasa. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
We're well.
I like the conversation. By the end of this COVID thing, there'll be some millionaires somewhere.
Of course.
And people have been ripping off the poor man. These COVID measures are for the poor people. The likes who can afford, who have money, there's nothing like COVID measures. They can cross the roadblocks as they want. They can go anywhere they want.
Yep.
These roadblocks, by the nature of my work, I've been Mombasa, Nairobi several times over this COVID period.
What do you do, Anthony?
I do road construction.
Okay.
I'm a driver. And I drive the bus. So I find myself moving Nairobi, Mombasa several times.
Okay.
And whenever I cross these roadblocks, I've seen people walking freely. You just need any roadblock you want to cross. You just need to take a border, drop you near the roadblock, walk across the roadblock, then get to the other side, and then you go.
Pick another border and proceed.
Exactly. Those are just ways of milking money from the people across, and they're just concentrating on the vehicles, the people in the vehicles.
Yeah. Anthony, however, bringing the conversation to the issue of livelihoods and people's power to make a living and therefore be able to afford to pay for food, to pay for their rent and all. Kuna breezy kule Mombasa.
Niko karibu na ufuoni kidogo.
Yeah,
so, but you can hear me now well.
Yeah, it's a bit better. So what's the experience? What have you seen? What is it that you see within your own locality?
Well, first of all, I thank God I'm lucky. By the nature of my work, I've not really been affected because my work has been going on. I've been receiving my salary as normal. I'm lucky and I thank God for that.
Yeah.
But I have my neighbors. I've seen some ladies who used to work, they were waiters in a pub. These people have nothing to eat. And just because when they were working, they had a comfortable life.
Yeah.
When the county was distributing food, they were not counted among the people who deserve food. They were not counted as vulnerable. Because somebody lives in a bed-sitter, lives in a one-bedroom house, could afford, they have nice things in the house, so they are counted like people who have. But these people are suffering.
Yeah.
They cannot eat the televisions in their house.
What are they doing now?
They have nothing to do. Some have resorted to selling the masks around. Someone tells you, I've sold masks, I've made a profit of 100 in one day. What will 100 buy? So these people are really suffering. And I think when it comes to the issue of the government distributing the food and everything, they should not just consider the people by the look of this someone lives in this area, so this area is the slums, this person deserves. The person who doesn't live in a slum does not deserve. Because that is what I saw in the county government when they were distributing the food.
Yeah.
Many people are left out.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Okay,
Asante, have a good day. 0719-012-600. That issue of redefining the vulnerable is also important. Because you see, at the beginning, there are those who were vulnerable even before COVID, and there are those who have been made vulnerable by COVID. Talking about everybody who has now lost their livelihoods. it doesn't matter from where they live or where they were before, salaried people especially, hard hit. Immediately you had an income, this is what you knew. You'd wake up, you go to work, at the end of the month, at the end of the week, or whatever kind of period, you get your pay. Now you're not waking up to go to work, so you're not getting that salary.
There you go.
And this is what you're used to do. This is different from somebody who initially was also just doing business. And maybe if they haven't closed their business, but their business has shrunk, but at least they have already adjusted to that life of peak seasons and low seasons.
Yeah, and I think that is what was not taken into consideration. Unfortunately, even at the start of this, I think there were very many thinkers or very many people who were thinking that, all right, COVID has come, but maybe I won't lose my job, okay? Or maybe I will not receive a reduction in whatever it was I was earning. And they could have lived in that reality for a moment. Unfortunately, those who are then the custodians of the economy also thought in that way, I believe. And that way, they did not put in now what needed to be done. Now, in the event that it actually happened, the worst did happen, whereby now those jobs disappeared or those pay cuts came, there was no fallback plan. And there was no plan that was going to meet those very needs. And that's why we have such a big problem here. And I think, unfortunately, we still don't realize just how bad it really is until we begin to hear these problems.
The government cannot actually be excused on that basis that they don't have the knowledge. They have a very clear knowledge as to how many people are in the so-called Juakali sector. They know. They have a very clear idea of people who are unemployed. It's not that they don't know.
People who are formally employed,
they know.
They know them directly. They pay payee every month.
And also, remember that with the census, they got, if there were gaps in the information, they got the information.
They have refreshed data.
So in terms of understanding who would be affected by COVID, it is not also difficult to determine.
It's very clear. You can tell, for instance, if people, this is the aviation industry. The aviation industry was employing X number of people, and you know, because
that one was grounded
now you have
completely.
Grounded. So clearly you can tell these people no longer have a job. They are not remitting any pay to the government, so therefore they are not earning anything.
And that industry is not just those who work in airlines. Any associated
Anybody
business
who is supplying that industry affected. So the government knows these people. Now, the other issue that comes in is the preparation and the government's strength. Other governments that we have seen have been able to come up and say, for example, in the UK, if you have lost your income, the government is going to be able to pay at least 60% or 70% of the salary that you are earning. For all that time that they were on lockdown, people were receiving their equivalent of their salary, at least a percentage from the government. This is a government that knew these are the people who are earning, formally employed, and their businesses, these businesses are not able to support them, so we are going to support them.
And
because the government has money.
Eric, I agree. And also, even in this country of ours, this excuse that the government doesn't have money, no.
That's I go.
No. The government has money to pay debts. It has money. The government has money to pay employees. It has money. The government has money to pay people who work in parastatals. The government has money.
Daddy, you're like that child who says, Daddy, I can see you driving.
There's fuel in your car.
Buy me a bike.
No. It's a serious look. That is, my friend, evidence-based question. So you've told this child at some point that
I don't have money.
That I drive, and this one, you explained how money works to drive a car, to buy petrol.
Yes.
So the child has done that maths.
If you can fuel your car every morning, and you're telling me you cannot buy me a bike, this is what you're saying, City.
Number two, we have not gone hungry in this house.
Yes.
You have money.
If you can feed us every day, we have not gone hungry, you have money.
And if you don't have money, Daddy, then ask Mommy.
Priorities.
Yes.
Now, this is where now the child needs to be taught priorities. Okay? And the same thing I'll tell you. Priorities.
For the country?
Priorities.
Which ones are those?
They are legal contracts. You're talking about it because you can pay a loan there for the government has...
It has money.
Yes, it has money, but legal contracts.
It has money.
Yeah. The money that they have is tied.
Yes.
They have money.
They cannot buy you the bike, City.
No.
Sorry.
No. They can buy the bike. You know this one? we are not talking about people who don't have food. We are talking about people who go hungry, not for a day,
Days.
Yep.
Hungry.
Yep.
Not eating.
And you want to throw children into that equation as well. Just to give the bites that is the reality.
There is money. There is money.
Reorganize your priorities.
Okay,
yes, just reorganize them.
Reorganize your priorities, and then even start with the one that they look until they come here and tell us otherwise. Even that fund where they've collected, where Kenyans have put money, whether it's one family, whether it's one individual, start with that one. Don't be telling us how you're planning for it and you're doing and you're coming to tell us where it is that you're going through that and you're buying PPEs. No, stop it. Rubbish. Start with that one. Even if you say that you're waiting for the government to reorganize their contractual obligations and whatever, that one that you have, start with it. There are people who are suffering now. There are people who are hungry today. There are people who don't know what they're going to eat today. 12 o'clock, they don't know what they're going to eat.
And
start with the one that you have.
To know what they're going to eat.
Come and blame me about being simplistic and tell me, they've collected, it's a Harambe fund, whatever it is. We can't just throw the money. Let me be that simplistic. Take that money, give it to the people who need to eat. It's necessary. You have the money there, it's sitting there. You can't tell us what you're doing with it, and people are suffering. They're dying on a daily basis. The people that you swore to protect when you were begging them for a vote, put the money in their hands.
Remember Eric and his clever friends who are telling him that he doesn't understand 2%.
We understand it very well. We understand it very well. The money is there. Carry
2 out of 100. We understand it very well.
Let people eat. If it finishes tomorrow, we think about tomorrow. What we'll do with it. But for now, money day. Feed your people, I beg. All this one are rubbish. Showing that they talk here. Move on. What time is it? Let's be going on.
Coming to the end of the show. Thank you very much for tuning in today to the Situation with Kenya's biggest conversation. Tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., we'll have a guest host tomorrow. Tune in right here and join us to find out who it's going to be. So, what is today's proverb, CT?
Today's proverb is, he who is unable to dance says the ad is stony. Appropriate. He who can't feed his people keeps saying they are broke.
No money.
They are not broke.
It is because of China and the other.
They are not
we
broke.
need to pay. Yeah. All right, Ndu. Okay. Fine. So Ndu has a new phone, everybody. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll find out everything about this new phone. She'll have learned how to use it. Good morning. It's 10 o'clock.